Thanks to a ridiculous goal by Jaromir Jagr and yet another one in the closing seconds by Mario Lemieux, the Penguins were able to pull off an unbelievable comeback to take Game 1 of the 1992 Stanley Cup Final. So how would they build on that momentum behind yet another rowdy crowd at Civic Arena for Game number 2 in downtown Pittsburgh?
Let's take a look at the scouting report for Game 2. The Hawks will continue to dump the puck and forecheck and try to finish their checks and try to do it even more than they did and more often and longer than they did in Game 1. Tuesday night was only the third time in the playoffs that the Hawks have given up 5 goals. The Penguins became only the second team in the last 51 years to come back from a 3-goal deficit, a 4-1 deficit in the Cup final. The Penguins have won 8 straight and 5 straight at home. The Pens have scored 5 or more goals and allowed 4 or less in 7 of the last 9 playoff games.
The scratches for tonight: Grant Jennings, Jeff Chikrin, Joey Mullen, Jay Caulfield, Peter Taglianetti, Dave McKillop, Mike Needham, and Wendell Young for the Penguins. For the Blackhawks, Keith Brown out with a shoulder problem. Cam Russell gets the scratch tonight. Tony Herkus, Brad Lauer, Dan Vincelette, Dean McCammon, Rob Brown out. And let's go to our national anthem.
By the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Sold out crowd once again here at the Civic Arena. Terry Gregson works tonight's game. And the 2 linesmen will be Swede Knox and Ray Scapinello.
Terry Gregson making his debut in the Stanley Cup Finals. Kerry Fraser, the guy who normally gets the assignment in the finals, along with Don Koharski and Andy Van Hellemond, but Gregson bumped him out of there this year, making his first game, and you wonder if he'll have the jitters. Eddie Belfour, 12-2 with a goals against average of 2.41, faced 39 shots in Game 1. A lot more shots than he'd been facing in the previous series against the Oilers. Tom Barrasso 9-5 with a 3.25 goals against average. Got stronger as the game went on.
Ronnie Francis will start at center with Sean McEachran and Kevin Stevens for the Penguins. And defensively it'll be Larry Murphy along with Gordy Roberts. And the puck dropped and played to the Penguins here to begin the game. And here's Roberts right behind his own net. Penguin Blue Liners sneaking ahead to the near side by Chelios and Smith, the 2 Chicago defensemen. And into the Chicago zone, and we have an icing call here immediately against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Just 15 seconds in. The Penguins are 7-2 on home ice in the playoffs. They are now 16-2 in their last 18 games here on Civic Arena ice. The Hawks, meanwhile, are 6-2 on the road. And, of course, they'll have games 3 and 4 this series at Chicago, where they're 6-1 this year in the playoffs. Mike Keenan, who really had some pretty tough things to say about his players after Game 1. And kind of surprising in a way to me, in the fact that that is his style. The fact that the Hawks had won 11 straight, had tuned in and just ripped through everybody, and all of a sudden they have one bad game, and Michael wasn't too happy with that.
What he said was, I just was speaking the truth, and when a player plays well, I'll give him credit, and when he doesn't, I'm going to say that he did.
Ronnie Galarmer and a quick wrist shot blocked, and it comes into the far corner of the Penguin zone. Paul Stanton along with Ulf Samuelsson, and directed up to the blue line of the Penguins in. Stu Grimson's going to fire it behind the Penguin net again. And Samuelsson, number 5. Directed up to center, and Rick Tocchet comes up with it. Ian Lemieux out here now, and Mario steps on. The Penguins trying to get Lemieux's line out here against Roenick. And they come off that far wing of the Chicago end. Steve Smith directs it up to center to Chris Chelios. On the plate of Larmer to the Penguin zone. Stops, looking, look out. He fires it right down low, and the save by Barrasso. Roenick running to him, but the Penguins have the puck, and they clear it away. And it bounces all the way to Chicago territory. Eddie Belfour leaves the puck for Steve Smith. What did they have down? Chelios for 38 minutes in time the other night, Paul, and Smith 35 on the defensive end for the Chicago Blackhawks.
And they played 27 of the last 40 minutes of the hockey game.
Here's Kravchuk now, right point. Fires one right down low, and Barrasso's able to deny that from 60 feet. Penguins look for it. Jimmy Pack of the Penguins wristed around the boards. Yager trying to get to it, so is Trottier, and they can't. They have Bort, Trottier, and Yager out here for the Penguins. And Brent Sutter pulling back into his own zone. We'll leave it for Igor Kravchuk. Both these teams trying to match up what they want here in the early going. So some quick line changes. Gutierrez sends it in. Ron Buskus, the former Penguin, playing here tonight for Chicago. He's on defense, replacing Cam Russell. And Yager deke his way to the Chicago end. Shoot it towards the net. That's offline. Gregson watches the play as Belfour does an acrobatic move in the net, but he never had the puck at all. And the Hawks clear it to the Penguin zone, and they make a change of their own. They'll put out Greg Gilbert, who plays tonight, and replace Robbie Brown, who is out with a groin pull. That's the word we have. And Yager to the right wing now with the Chicago into Ronnie Francis. Francis, who quietly now is the second leading point getter in the playoffs, right behind Mario Lemieux. He's had an outstanding playoff season for the Penguins. Ronnie Francis with 26 points, but here are the Hawks now blasting the puck into the Penguins in, and they're guilty of an icing play. We'll return first period as the tempers heat up here.
They're going after Larry Murphy right there.
After the whistle sounded, and here's a penalty coming up to Mike Peluso. The Hawks big guy rattled one of the pins, and he's going to go sit down. We'll be back in a moment. Turkey's on the table early. See if the Hawks pay on the Penguins Hockey Network.
Well, originally they announced 4 minutes for roughing to Peluso, but they cut it back. It is just a 2-minute minor penalty. This guy had 35 fights by himself this year for the Blackhawks, and the Penguins only had 33 as a team. He went in and bumped Stevens from behind. I thought it was Murphy he was going after, but he gave Stevens an extra shot, a couple of them to the back of the head. An undisciplined penalty, not the kind Mike Keenan wants his team to take by any means, and he was upset with the discipline of his team in game one at times, not just in terms of penalties, but the too many men on the ice and a couple of other things he wasn't happy with, and he's not going to be happy with that as the Penguins, who were 2 for 6 on the power play in game one, have a shot here early.
Well, this is one thing I think the Hawks have to keep away from, because the Penguins power play has been just tremendous. And here's Lemieux left side of the Chicago end, right side over to Larry Murphy, and Murphy shoots it, trickles in towards Belfour. The wide of the goal, and Chris Chelios going to wrap it down the ice and up into the Penguins in. In game one, the Penguins were 2 for 6 on the power play against the Hawks. But the Hawks had the best penalty killing coming into the playoffs. Second overall in the league, and they were number 1 until the other night overall against the opposition. Chelios clears again by Murphy and on to the Penguin zone. And frankly, in the early going, they did a terrific job. The game-winning goal, however, scored on by Lemieux on a power play. Now Francis out of the Penguins end. Gave it away to Chris Chelios, who moved up to center and made a nice play. The Hawks really come up to center and into your zone. Barrasso lost the puck to Larmer. Look out, shorthanded. Yager's after him. Larmer, though, goes to Brian Noonan of Chicago. Noonan pushed off the puck, and it goes behind the net, and the Penguins, with 1:08 to go in this power play, are not getting much done. Hawks penalty killing is excellent. There's no question about that. And Larry Murphy up to center to Kevin Stevens. Stevens rambles to the Chicago line, breaks in down the right side, going to Lemieux. Pass it left point to Ronnie Francis, down deep now to Tocchet around the boards. Right side over to Mario Lemieux. Lemieux trying to go to Tocchet. It went by Chelios and Tocchet to the near side. Larmer came over, gave it to Tocchet, but Tocchet to give away to Larmer, and he shoots it up ice. Well, the Hawks only 40 seconds away from killing this one.
They're coming right after Larry Murphy, not giving him time to get that pass from Tom Barrasso at all, and he's going to need some help.
Ulf Samuelsson now playing on the point. Wristed up the alley to Rick Tocchet. He looks for Lemieux. Tocchet into the Chicago zone. Comes down that right side to McEachran. McEachran turned around by Kuchera. The Chicago defenseman, Michel Goulet, makes a nice move to avoid Tocchet. Push it up and out of the zone. Excellent penalty killing by Chicago in this first Penguin power play chance.
Ada Buzzelli of Verona has an opportunity in our Iron Man advantage contest.
Penguins have not had a shot on goal here. And here's McEachran down the right side of Lemieux. He breaks in, goes to Tocchet. A big slap shot, but he fanned on it, hit the heel of his stick, and went wide of the cage. Hawks Jeremy Roenick scoots around Samuelsson to the Penguins in. Look out. His shot. He missed the net on the far side. Penalty is over now. Peluso is on. The Hawks have killed it. And they have the puck at center. Jeremy Roenick. And that long slap shot. He's on here with Goulet and Larmer. Remember, Larmer killed a lot of that penalty also. Larmer backpedals to his own end. Played it up in the air. And Igor Kravchuk, the Hawks defenseman, coming to the Penguin line. No score. Almost 4.5 minutes into the first period. Bob Area, the fans. Flip it ahead to center now to Brian Trottier. Trottier with the 2 defensemen backing up. Looks for a trailer in both Erie and Loney and puts it in front of the net, and Loney can't quite get there. And the Hawks counterattack and move it quickly. Now Greg Gilbert of Chicago on to Kravchuk into the Penguins in a drop pass. Loney broke that up and flips it onto center circle. Igor Kravchuk again for Chicago. To the left wing to Brian Noonan. Left to puck now for Mike Hudson. Hudson with that good speed goes to the corner, darts in and out, but he lost the edge of his skate and went down. Penguins have it, and Jimmy Pack hurries it along. Rod Busquets with a good check on Bob Erie. Near side, the Hawks have it. And can they keep it in? Bob Erie turns it out of the zone and back to center again. Busquets, number 25. Over to defense partner Brian Marchman. And Marchman, a heavy hitter, swings it up into the Penguin zone. Tack trying to clear, can't do it the first time. Plays it off the boards neatly around to Phil Bourque. That was a good recovery by Jimmy Pack on the field. Callender races up to the Hawks Chicago line. He runs into Busquets. Busquets went down onto the near corner of the Chicago zone. The loose puck pulled in by Brian Marchman. Marchman will give it now to Rod Busquets. Left wing pass to Brent Sutter. Too far for him. And Murphy on the play to Jock Callender. It's a good counterattack game going on right now with both these clubs. And Callender on the right side against Dirk Graham. Callender feeds it over. Man in front, and he couldn't quite get it to Gordy Roberts, who vacated the blue line. Went down the slot, but the pass a little too hard. Roberts with it again for the Penguins. Bounce it up into the Chicago end, and Belfour, who's not been tested as of yet, leaving the puck for Chris Chelios, who's handled by Callender. Now Dirk Graham of the Hawks comes up with the puck. Stevens is on him. Steve Smith with it. He and Chelios pair together. And out the right wing, it is dumped up to center, where the Penguins again pick it off. On the right wing, at center ice, Kevin Stevens tank it up the sideboards and in behind the Chicago goal. Lemieux, Stevens, and now Rick Tocchet, the trio out for Penguin interim coach Scotty Bowman. Tocchet on to Stevens to the right wing against Chelios. Moves in against him, backhander, and that's the first save of the night made by Belfour. Loose puck behind the net. Chelios comes over as Smith puts the handle on Mario Lemieux. He was looking for him all the way. Dirk Graham has the puck for Chicago. Lemieux whacks it off his stick, put it in front. Here, Stevens, backhander, stopped by Belfour, and he finds it down low between his pads. Oh, Lemieux just picked the pocket of one of the Chicago Blackhawks as Grimson and Stevens push and shove, and Mario Lemieux just picked the pocket of one of the Hawks defensemen like he was walking down Fifth Avenue. We'll be back, no score, in the first on the Penguins Hockey Network.
Eddie Belfour facing a couple of shots now. It took a while for the Penguins to get that first shot on goal. Nearly 7 minutes. Lemieux picked the pocket of Dirk Graham. Dished it out in front. Stevens went to the backhand. Belfour down again on his knees. That puck got in behind him, underneath him. But he was still able to reach back and grab it. He pushed it away. He didn't know that it was out in front of him, and Chelios gave it back to him, and he covered it up.
Face off, won by Brent Sutter. And then lifted behind the Chicago goal. Chris Chelios, the Chicago defenseman, scoreless first period, game 2. And Steve Smith takes the pass from him. And he'll flip it off the glass into the right wing corner where the Penguins in. Brent Sutter turns around. He is hit by Ulf Samuelsson. Lemieux digging for the puck also for the Penguins in his own end. Reaching in to try and take command of it. Near side, Stefan Matteau. Matteau of Chicago. Good work by Matteau off the near corner now. Coming from the Penguin goal. Feeding it front, shot by Center. Big stop there by Barrasso. Excellent work by Stefan Matteau. But the Hawks can't score. Now it's center ice. Controlled now by Chris Chelios. Chelios giving the puck to Stefan Matteau. Into the Penguins in. His wrist shot down low. And Barrasso got a stick on that shot. Samuelsson having trouble with Matteau, who is working hard in the Penguins in. The Hawks putting good pressure on the Penguins with this line. Sutter, Graham, and Matteau. And chopped around to the near boards. And Stevens trying to play it ahead of Lemieux in a 2-on-1, but Chelios intercepts. Look out. He got around him, and Penguin penalty coming up. Chelios put it in front. Deflects right in on goal slot. Made rebound. And Barrasso covers that before Brent Sutter can put it in. Penalty will be issued here against the Penguins.
They might get another one, too, for knocking that net off the moorings.
We'll return. 12:22 left in the first period. There is no score in game 2 on the Penguins Hockey Network. Yep.
Paul Stanton has now taken a penalty in 6 straight games and 7 of the last 8 in the playoffs. This time a double minor. He compounded his mistake. Took a tripping penalty. First you see Sutter with a great opportunity in front of Barrasso and a bang-bang play after good work by Stefan Matteau in the corner. Barrasso made a great save on Sutter. And then the Penguins were trying for a 2-on-1. The pass by Stevens hit Lemieux in the skate. Chelios was coming back in. And Stanton not in the picture right now. But he tripped Dirk Graham, I believe. I don't know who he tripped. It's hard to tell. And that because he knocked the net off the moorings there. That was the play where he knocked the net off the moorings, and that's why he's getting the delay of game penalty. I did not see the trip at all on our replay on the TV side.
7:38 the time of the penalties. The Hawks have a power play for a full 4 minutes, and they'll put Brian Noonan, Steve Larmer, Jeremy Roenick up front. The point that'll be Kravchuk and Chelios to the right point. Penguins in. Chelios slided over to Steve Larmer of Chicago. Larmer's heavy shot. Save made Barrasso. Roenick picks it up in the far corner. Samuelson's after him for the Penguins. Lemieux takes it away. And Mario Lemieux, who was just on that shift, remember, right back out here, and he is hit by Roenick. Play goes on, and the Blackhawks have it at the Chicago line. Now play is whistled down as the Pens are guilty of an offside play, trying to get into Chicago ice.
Fans booing because Mario Lemieux was accidentally struck in the face by Jeremy Roenick as he carried that puck through the neutral zone. And the Penguins, like the Hawks when they're shorthanded, trying to put the pressure back on Chicago. With Igor Kravchuk out there joining Chris Chelios at the points.
Francis and Lemieux, the penalty killers. Murphy and Samuelson on the backside. Brent Sutter now to handle the face-off against Ronnie Francis. And the Penguins control this time. Samuelson and Lemieux back to Wolf Samuelson at the Penguin line. Around to Larry Murphy. And he'll flip it over the body of the Hawks. Kravchuk all the way to the near corner of the Chicago zone. Chelios backpedaling. The Hawks have outshot the Penguins 6-3 in the early going. Larmer leads the parade back for Chicago on a power play with the extra man. They have 5 skaters against 4 for 4 minutes. Now to the right point of the Penguins end. It goes to Chelios. Left side, Kravchuk. That booming shot glove by Barrasso. Boy, Kravchuk can shoot it. But Barrasso very sharp with a glove hand to pull it out of the air and hold on. Still 3 minutes and 11 seconds left in time on a power play for Chicago. Now, just to let you know, if the Hawks score within the first penalty, that would negate the time on that. They would go immediately to the second one. Just for those of you that are new and watching. So they do not have a full 3:11. The only time you would have that is on a major penalty. If there was a 5-minute major for something, that penalty would carry the full 5 minutes. In other words, you can put it in the net as many times as you can possibly do it in 5 minutes. But on minor penalties, when you score, that penalty expires. And in this case, with a double minor, the second one would take effect with a 2-minute penalty.
Ronnie Francis talked the other night about the difficulty on faceoffs against Sutter because Sutter's right-handed and you don't see a lot of right-handed center icemen, and he doesn't see him, and Sutter wins a draw against him.
Left point again to Kravchuk, and he whistles one towards the net. Francis blocked that. The Penguin forward. Back to Kravchuk, and they're using him as the guy to fire it. Around to the near corner to Steve Larmer. Larmer back to the right point to Chelios. Did he keep it in? He did. Swings it in behind the Penguin net around. Ulf Samuelson got a piece of it. No, he didn't. Scapinello made the call, and it's an offside play. Didn't see any indication at first. And difficult to hear the whistle. They came outside the line, and Chelios and poked it back in. So they had people inside the zone. The puck came across the line, and then Chelios put it into the zone with people trapped, and that's an offside play. The puck must precede people, and in that case, the puck came out and then went back in with people in the zone already. 11:16 left in the first period. The Penguins had the first power play chance of the night, and the Hawks shut them down admirably. Now Stanton on a double minor. And Chicago wins another faceoff. I tell you, in the long run in a series, that's going to be important. If Sutter wins as many faceoffs as he is against a very good faceoff man in Francis. Now on the right side, Chelios going over to the left point to Kravchuk. His shot again deflected off Barrasso's stick. The Hawks set it up on the near boards, and Larmer belted by Ulf Samuelson. Around the net, Roenick tries to get a handle on it. To the near corner to Steve Larmer. Roenick's behind the goal by himself. They go to Chelios. Now back to Larmer halfway up near side. Steve Larmer put it behind the net to Sutter. Now to Roenick, and Roenick can't make a play. Roenick checked, and Lemieux has the puck, and he clear. Got it off Kravchuk. It's still loose, and now poked away by the Penguins on the center. Francis dead tired. He has to come off. Lemieux has that unbelievable ability to stay on the ice forever. And the Hawks again spin it back into the Penguins' end. 2:08 left in penalty time. We're almost into that second penalty. No score first period. Brian Noonan lost it. Bob Aries shoots it right by Chelios, and Chelios has been out a long time, and now he's going to come off. Kravchuk, who has played the full 2 minutes on the first power play, he's going to go and shoot it into the Penguins' end. They want him to stay on. But back into the Hawk zone it goes, and Bob Aries after a shorthanded cutting for the net. Bob Aries shot. He shouts and scores. He beats Belfour like a rented mule, and the Penguins lead 1-0. Bob Aries. Well, I'll tell you what happened there, Paul. Kravchuk should have come off in all probability. He tried to stay out. They wanted him to stay out. He didn't have enough to catch Bobby, and then Bobby made a great shot. Belfour just played it a little offline.
And a good clearing maneuver by the Penguins to get it out to center ice. Aries staying on side, just caught up with that bouncing puck and outraced Goulet to the puck and got there and just gave a little push shot towards the net, and it just found its way inside the far post. Belfour going down, scrambling on the shot. Totally out of position. With his left pad out, even though the shot went to the right, and it would appear as though Eddie Belfour is not on his game. And I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if Mike Keenan pulls in a hurry.
I'll tell you, too, on that shot by Bob Airy, the puck bounced. And they talk about the Penguins getting to bounce. He just kind of floated it towards the net, and it bounced along and took the bounce that he wanted going to the far side of the goal.
The seed of doubt was already planted in the Hawks locker room from game number 1, and then Bobby kind of drove that home, and we put them on their heels right away.
Going over to Goulet, around to the right point to Noonan. Noonan left side, over to Smith. Now back to Noonan, near wing. Pittsburgh 1, Chicago nothing. Noonan shoots it, deflected, and it just went up Barasso's arm and wide of the goal. Hawks have had chances here. Now Matoa again to the right point to Noonan. Ryan Noonan pulls back and drills it right to the net. That save made, the rebound. Bouncing right to Francis, and he'll whack it on the backhand out of the zone. And it goes to Chicago territory.
Francis took a big hit from Matoa after he cleared it, and that's the kind of stuff the Hawks do, finishing their checks. Francis relaxed, and he took a crunching check from Matoa.
And there's nothing wrong with that because he made a good play, hitting clean, and that's part of this game. And here's Larmer on the left wing side. In the Penguins end, around behind the net to Brent Sutter. Sutter having trouble. Now the pinch, Shel Samuelson knocked down one of the Hawks, and Bork comes up with the Penguins. Bob Airy, who returned for this series after being out with a shoulder problem, has the only goal of the game. He avoids a check by Noonan. Now Bork is up, entered by Steve Smith. Penalty coming up against Chicago. Steve Smith knocking down Phil Bork, and the Penguins will be at equal strength for 33 seconds, and then they'll have that turkey back on the table. Note, the Pens lead 1-0 over Chicago on the Penguins Hockey Network.
Well, Steve Smith, who has done a pretty good job of keeping himself out of the penalty box in the playoffs. He got only 14 penalty minutes coming into this game after getting well over 200 in the regular season. He put the stick into Phil Bork, who should have gotten one for retaliating against him, really. Gregson saw that too, but he did not make the call. He just called interference against Smith, and so the teams are at even strength right now, and 33 seconds left on the second penalty to Paul Stanton.
The Bob Airy goal is third of the playoffs at 9:52. A shorthanded goal. The Penguins third of the playoffs from Jimmy Pack. Now they're at equal strength four side. Lemieux onto the left point of the Chicago end. Over to Gordy Roberts. Swinging back up the corner boards behind the net to Lemieux. He tried to center. Got out by Chelios, and now the Hawks take command of it. They'll dump it up to center to Brent Sutter, who's seen a lot of ice time here in this first period already. The Hawks had worked on the power play for almost 3.5 minutes. Lemieux steps up in 12 seconds. The Penguins will then have the power play to the right wing to McEachran. I'll tell you, one of the things that the Hawks are having trouble with, even the big guys back there, is the speed of the Penguins. Bork, Airy, McEachran now coming on, and they're causing problems for them. And here's Chelios now stepping up. And the Pens have gotten excellent goaltending from Barrasso here in this first period. And the puck out of play into the seats, and the penalty now has expired to Stanton. So the Penguins will have 1 minute and 21 seconds left on a minor penalty to Steve Smith of Chicago. And they'll work here with a man advantage, and they'll put their power play unit on.
W.C. Barkhurst of Trafford, Pennsylvania has a chance to win $100 from Iron City Beer in our Iron Man Advantage contest. Well, the Blackhawks really, with the exception of the great scoring opportunity that Brent Sutter had on the bang-bang play in front, really have not been able to establish the forecheck here in the first period that they wanted to. The Penguins have done a good job of getting the puck out of their own end. The only other time really that the Penguins were running around in their own zone was when they were trying to get a little greedy, coming out looking for that 2-on-1, and then they were outnumbered down low, and then Stanton was forced to take a penalty.
Bill Bork, who becomes a free agent without compensation after this season, and he was knocked down by Smith, and here's Noonan out in the penalty killing role with Dirk Graham, Chelios, and Kuchera back. And of course with Smith out, then we'll put Kuchera in a role killing the penalty. Lemieux with the Penguins leading the puck up to Kevin Stevens, but he can't quite hold on to it. And Kuchera again sneaks it back in. Kevin Stevens led the Penguins in power play goals in the regular season. Larry Murphy looks for room, got around Noonan and on to Stevens now. Here comes number 25 of the Penguins. Goes right in on Chelios. Chelios took the puck away. Can he clear it? He can't. Reaching into Stevens. Now they do get it up ice, and Noonan made the play. Chelios is tough one-on-one. He's a tough guy to beat coming down. I don't care who you are. Chris Chelios is an all-star defenseman. And Murphy of the Penguins trying to find Francis does, but he just lifts it into open space into the Chicago zone. Chelios will be there one more time, and he finds that open lane and will wrist it up into the Penguin zone. 28 seconds to go on the penalty to Steve Smith of Chicago. Pittsburgh leading 1-0 on a Bob Airy shorthanded goal. And the pass up to center. The Penguins misfire again. They're not making much happen here on this power play chance. Pocket looks for room, but the Penguins are capable in 10 seconds of scoring a goal. Here's Stevens to the right side of the Chicago zone, but offside. again called against the Penguins. So they have not been able to organize too well on this power play chance.
They really didn't do a very good job on their first power play opportunity either.
We'll give the Hawks credit. Their penalty killing again, standing out here in this first period of play.
Rick Tocchet said that you've got to be lucky and good. And he said, and we're lucky to have Mario Lemieux.
With quotes around that. Mario has averaged 2 points a game in the playoffs in his career. He hasn't even averaged that high in the regular season against all opponents. He averages around 1.9 something. I'm talking against San Jose's and the teams that are lower in the league. And he has been a great money player in his NHL career, as brief as it is. He's only been in the playoffs now 3 years. He's approaching 100 points.
And everybody said that he wasn't a guy who couldn't win big games and really wasn't a winner because he didn't lead his team to championships. Well, he never had the opportunity until he had a really good team around him.
Now the Pens are called for icing, and we'll stop the play and we'll take a break. Pittsburgh 1, Chicago nothing in the first period. 6:51 left on the Penguins Hockey Network. In the playoffs to date, the Penguins are 9-3 in games in which they score the first goal. And Hronek now with Larmer and Goulet against Trottier of the Penguins, who is on board with Jaromir Jagr and Ron Francis. And that face-off, Francis will go to the bench. Loney comes on. And here are the Penguins coming to center. Stanton shoots it in. Came off Belfour's stick. Loney comes in, takes the man. Jagr going for the puck. He is crushed from behind by Smith on a good check. Chelios in digging for it. Loney trying to work him one-on-one. Loney is a guy that can compete with those two big guys, Chelios and Smith, one-on-one, and he hammers Chelios from behind, but Goulet has it. And now Loney puts a good check into Michel Goulet. Jagr has the puck. Swing it to the near side, but Chelios takes command of the biscuit. On to center to Steve Smith. And the Hawks defenseman with Jagr on his backside turns around, leaving the puck now for Larmer, who cuts right down the slot. On him is Trottier. He never got the shot off. And the Hawks spin it in behind the net. Hronek goes for it. He is hit by Ulf Samuelsson. Took him right up the puck. But the Hawks over to grab it again. Right point, Chelios. Into the near corner for Jeremy Hronek, who can make a big play out of the corner. Comes down, stops. Swing it over in front. Nobody there. Jagr has it for the Penguins. Got around Smith. Has a man open in Loney. Does he have enough left, though? He plays so hard. He comes up to the blue line. Drops it over to Jagr. Jagr is crunched and knocked down by Jeremy Hronek. Will put the body into him and set him flying. And Jagr looks back at him, and now Hronek whacks him again. Puck back down to the Penguin zone. It comes out the near side. Chelios shoots it towards the net. That's blocked. The Hawks trying to center. They can't do it. Now running play there by Noonan or Hudson, and now Mario Lemieux. So the Hawks pick up the hitting here against the Penguins. Jagr got a good crunching check from Hronek, and now Hudson runs into Mario Lemieux.
Hronek's not a big guy, but he loves to throw checks like that, and he just puts all of himself into you when he hits you. He really drives right at you, uses that speed, combination of speed and the ability to shift his weight. Good technique on his checks, and he really nailed Jaromir Jagr.
But here come the Penguins. They quickly get it by the four-checking Hawks. They come into the Chicago zone. It goes to Lemieux. Lemieux in the slot to Tocchet. He has nowhere to go. Turns around, though, and shoots it. Partially deflected. One of the Hawks lost his glove. That was Greg Gilbert. And Chicago racing up with Lemieux trailing the play, but the Hawks want to make a line change. That was a break there for the Penguins because Mario was trapped way back up ice. Kravchuk being pressured by Kevin Stevens. And Igor Kravchuk, the Hawks defenseman, able to spin it up the sideboards. Inside the Penguin line, Gordy Roberts defensively. Pulling back his lead pass right by Stevens, and going to be played by Belfour, the Chicago defenseman, right to Stevens, who shoots it back towards a goal, is partially deflected. Now, Belfour gave that one away, but it does not result in a goal against him as the Hawks take command of it. And here's Stefan Matteau, who's had a good first period for the Hawks. Into the Penguin zone, trying to get around Gordy Roberts. He takes him all the way to the far corner. Good hustle by Roberts to follow Matteau all the way to the corner. And they dig for it. And Francis and the Penguins there. And so is Jocelyn Lemieux of the Blackhawks. Still free. And Ronnie Francis wristed around the near side. It comes off Stevens right over to Stu Grimson of the Blackhawks. Poke it back into the far corner. And the Hawks now with his forechecking, putting some pressure on. Roberts looks at the play, but Chelios comes in deep. He tries to shoot it to the net. He can't do it. Matteau behind the goal. Centers it. Went right by everybody. Well, Matteau is just a really solid worker.
I'll tell you, Mike, on that last rush where he carried the puck against Gordy Roberts, you could see where his reach really came into play there. He was able to hold the puck away from Roberts, but you could also see that he's not the greatest stick handler in the world. And a big guy like that, that's how you just realize what a tremendous Lemieux is, because he has that reach and the tremendous ability to handle the puck, and that's the difference.
And Jagr, too, the same type of player, not as physical, but here are the Hawks now with it, and the Penguins in. Brent Sutter shot to the net and gloved by Marasso. It didn't have a whole lot on it. Tommy pulls it in. We'll be back in a moment. 3:31 left first period. And the Penguins lead 1-0 in Game 2 on the Penguins Hockey Network.
Eddie Belfour is a competitor. He is accustomed to having his coach challenge him. And we look at Roenick challenging Jaromir Jagr with the body and then whacking him again. Jagr turned around and he just tapped him with the stick, and Jagr stayed right with him. I think he was trying to goad him into hitting him again to see if he could draw a penalty. He stayed with him all the way across the ice. Bob Airey is wearing special shoulder pads. If you ever look at Bob Airey, it almost looks like he's wearing no shoulder pads at all normally. But he's wearing these new Douglas shoulder pads, a new company, and that's to protect that separated shoulder.
Here from the face-off. Well, they went to Tony Parisi, the Steelers equipment manager, when they had all the problems with Lemieux and Tocchet, and saw what the Steelers were, but they were just too bulky from my understanding of it.
But they did get some foam from Parisi.
Trottier to the Chicago end, comes down with a slap shot, and it's off the stick of Belfour. Jagr gets it, puts it right back on the net, and Belfour is able to stop that. Eddie Belfour, the Chicago goaltender, has seen 6 Penguin shots here in the first period. The Hawks have had 9 against Parasso. And here is Marchment trying to get into the Penguins' end. He left the puck inside the line. And Larry Murphy will turn it over to Brian Trottier of the Penguins. Into the Chicago zone, just shovels it down the near boards into the corner. And a heavy check by Bob Airey on one of the Hawks, sends Marchment flying. And Dirk Graham returns a favor on Bob Airey, and the Hawks clear it. Well, that's one thing Bob Airey in this series, why it's a welcome return, because Bob Airey is a guy that can play along the lines of what the Hawks do as far as that solid hitting, the checks that they do throw. And Bob Airey can return the favor, and you need that sometimes just to let the other team know that you're there. Stand of the Penguins. He is hammered by Roenick, who put the shoulder into him. Larmer gets the puck to the near side. Over to Stu Grimson. Grimson tried to center, but Stan has it, and he wristing around the boards and out of the zone. And another icing call coming up against the Penguins. And Roenick is trying to lead the way here for the Hawks with the body checks that he's throwing. 2:17 left in period number 1. The Penguins lead 1-0 as Barry Bonds spews on. Pirates left fielder, is it?
You sure that's not Stevie Wonder?
On the Penguins Hockey Network.
No, good job by the Penguins to shut the Blackhawks down at the blue line. And they thought tonight that the best thing they could do in this hockey game was to back off a little bit. And you see right here, if you stop it, you see them lined up and in good position at the blue line to take the 3-on-3 situation. And there was even another man trailing the play to turn it back the other way.
Lemieux now drives it down the near boards into the Chicago end, and seeing Bonds here at the game tonight, I can't help but think with his old partner Bobby Bonilla, who used to love the Penguins and come here all the time, but now in New York. And they broke them up. They used to come quite a bit together. Into the far corner now. The Penguins hit it, picked up by the Hawks, and they slam it wide of the net on a backhand attempt there by Greg Gilbert. Barrasso was out of the net. Now Gilbert shoots it right back to the goal. Tommy will get a blocking glove on that. Penguins trying to clear. They can't. The Hawks have it. Steve Smith. Slap shot blocked by Lemieux with the Penguin. And Pittsburgh right now struggling a little bit here as Bork gets it up to center, but Chelios has it for the Hawks. He coughed it up now to Bork. Coming to the Chicago line. A long slap shot and glove by Belfour. He'll lead it down back in behind the goal, and the Hawks knock Bork into the net as Noonan got a piece of him. Now he'll flatten him. A penalty coming up against Noonan. Not a good play at all by Noonan. He's going to try and take him with him, but it's not going to work. Brian Noonan just took a very, very dumb penalty, believe me. He just flattened Bork from behind on a cross-check when it was just not necessary, right in front of Gregson, the referee.
I think there's a tendency for players to think that because it's behind the play, the puck has gone up ice, that they can get away with that. But what they don't think of at times is that the referee is actually looking back. He's not supposed to be looking at the puck in that situation. He's supposed to look back behind the play. And that's exactly what Gregson was doing. In fact, he didn't have to look very far because he was standing right next to the two players. And a dumb penalty, the second one for the Hawks in this period.
Well, sometimes the emotion gets so carried away, you maybe get a little frustrated. You lost the first game. You've not been able to score in the second, and I can understand part of it. And it'd be different if he had done something to him, but I don't think he really did. I mean, he might have been talking to him. You know what? Borky might have been saying something to him, and that, you know, just that agitation right there forced him into doing what he did.
Bork fought his way to the net in the first place against Noonan. As soon as he got back up to his skates, Noonan decked him from behind.
Well, they're not going to miss much here at the arena. There are 20 cameras employed here with 5 different television feeds, and whatever happens on the ice is pretty well going to be picked up. So usually in the regular season we may not have seen that on a replay. You know what I'm saying, Paul? That now they were covered everywhere. I mean, they even got the outside of the building covered too. So be careful when you're at home. Make sure you get your shades down because they got cameras everywhere here tonight. Here's Murphy carrying it up. The Penguins on a power play, their third of the period. And Murphy steps up, going to the left side over to Lemieux in the Chicago zone. Checked neatly by Larmer. And Francis forced to center, being pressured by Larmer, and Lemieux comes up with it. Hurries it up to Larry Murphy. Murphy to the Chicago end, hit by Smith, and he got whacked in the arm and he got hurt. Smith hit him with a stick. Now Lemieux to the left side, going over to Ronnie Francis. Back to Lemieux, over to Murphy. Murphy drills it, stop, rebound, loose in front. Who's going to get it? He goes to the right of net. Steve Smith sprawls out and stops the play. Smith had whacked Murphy pretty hard, and Murph got hurt on that play. Caught him on the arm. He not going to let him know that it's bothering him that much, but Smith did get the lumber into Larry Murphy pretty heavy.
Mike Keenan was sitting in the stands here in this building early in the year. The Penguins played the Hawks a few weeks into the season. Right now, Larry Murphy's saying something to the linesman about it. But anyway, Keenan started naming the superstar players on the Penguins team. He said, well, look at your team with the superstars you have. And he said, Lemieux and Stevens and Recchi. And he started naming them, and Coffey. And he said, and Larry Murphy. He included his name in there, and he has picked Larry Murphy for his last 2 Canada Cup teams. Murphy did get whacked by Smith. And he has a lot of respect for Larry Murphy, and at the same time, he's going to go after him in this hockey game and ask his players to bump Larry Murphy at every opportunity. They've been pressuring him quite a bit on the power play as he goes back into his own end. And Murphy said after the last game, he said, I only have a very short window of opportunity. It doesn't last very long, and if they shut it down in a hurry, I'm in trouble. So he needs help back there. He needs to have somebody come back to help him out, so he has a safety valve, if you will, when he gets that puck in his own end.
46 seconds left in the first period. Penguins on a power play the rest of the way. We'll go by that clock, the time left. Here is Stevens without a stick. He had it knocked away by Steve Smith. And Dirk Graham gets the puck, but not out. Yager at the right point of the Chicago zone. Lost it. Here's Graham on a breakaway. Look out. Dirk Graham cutting back towards Barrasso. One-on-one, moves in, shoots it, and Barrasso made the save off his shoulder against Dirk Graham. Yager lost the puck at the right point. He's not accustomed to being there. And it almost cost the Penguins, but Tommy Barrasso stopping Dirk Graham, and the Hawks denied a chance on a shorthanded goal of their own to tie the game.
And Tom Barrasso staying upright on the play. Yager went to move that puck and just fanned on it. He brought the stick right over top of it. Dirk Graham just came skating up ice. He's an outstanding shorthanded hockey player. Every year he gets a pretty good number of shorthanded goals. Although his total dropped off a little bit this year, but still very, very dangerous shorthanded. Captain of the Blackhawks went right in. Barrasso stayed upright and it went right off his arm and over the net.
You see Ronnie Francis come back. He got around Yager and went diving to try and stop the play. Graham's upset that he couldn't beat Barrasso, but the game remains. Pittsburgh 1, Chicago nothing. Face off now in the Penguins end to the left of Tommy. And Brent Sutter wins that face off to Chelios, who will shoot it in behind the Penguin goal. Larry Murphy spinning up to Yager, and here he comes hustling back to the Chicago line. Wheel his way in. To the right side of Lemieux, drop pass to Murphy, shoot it in front off Stevens' stick. Chelios comes over, got the puck, he's pressured by Stevens. Who will get it? The Hawks do. Can they control it? Steve Smith pressured by Lemieux. Got it away. Lemieux in front for Stevens, who went off a body. And 3 seconds remaining now, and the period's going to end. And the Penguins have the lead at the end of 1. Now we played 20 minutes in game number 2 of this final series for the Stanley Cup. And at the end of 1, the Penguins lead. Chicago 1-0 on the Penguins Hockey Network.
Spring in Pittsburgh. For the last 13 years, it has brought us together. And while we aren't physically together this year, we are most certainly all together. We are used to seeing gold towels, feeling an overtime goal, and cheering for heroes based on their surname. We are seeing that the human spirit cannot be broken, feeling the warmth of people helping those in need, and cheering the heroes based on their profession. So, while there may not be hockey this spring, we are all engaged with the playoff intensity to win this battle. We are in this together.
Second period, the Penguins started a power play for 36 seconds. And the Hawks have been perfect tonight so far in killing penalties. Chelios works it up to the Penguin net, and Barrasso played it away and hit a hawk and bounces right wide of the net. Larmer turns and shoots it. And that one wide of the net area, and the Penguins have to go back behind their own goal. It's kind of a funny play, and Tommy didn't react real well on that, and I just wondered if it really kind of shook him up, the fact that he played it right off a hawk. But here's Lemieux carrying the puck into the Chicago zone. Drop it over to Yager, cutting with the net, but he can't reach it with his stick. Right side, Stanton trying to go the left wing circle to Mario Lemieux, picked off by Steve Larmer. Armour gains center ready. Shoots it in. The Penguins now failed to score in 3 power play chances. And the Hawks are back to equal strength. Ulf Samuelsson coming up on the play. Shoots it up the sideboards and ahead to Chicago territory. Frank Gutierrez, the Hawk defenseman, poking it ahead to Chris Chelios. Chelios delivers it up the center and will go to Stefan Matteau. Matteau working deep into the Penguin right wing corner. Avoided a check, got him behind the net, but Gordy Roberts paired out here with Larry Murphy. Finds a breaking Bob Airy. Airy on with Yager and Francis. Airy to the Chicago end, left side of Murphy. Murphy's going to shoot it. He was hit on the play as he got the shot goal by Jeremy Roenick. And Roberts again takes command of the puck at center ice. On to Ronnie Francis. Hit on the play by Kravchuk, and the Hawks gain possession again. There to the Penguin line. Noonan got around Gordy Roberts, comes down with a wrist shot. That was blocked by Larry Murphy, the Penguin defenseman. The Hawks, Matteau steps right into Bob Airy, and the Hawks throwing those heavy checks out. Gutierrez left point, shot right on. Barrasso made the blocking glove save. McEachran avoids a check by Roenick. And on to center. So the Hawks here in the early minute and a half of the second period have thrown about 4 or 5 hard body checks against the Penguins. Goulet trying to line up Roberts, and the Hawks now shoot it back in, and we get an offside call against Chicago. And the Hawks again using that body and cleanly against the Penguins to try and slow them down. 1-0 Pittsburgh on the Penguins Hockey Network.
Chara with a good slap shot from the left point. He had plenty of time to get it off, too. Barrasso came out and stopped that with the blocker. And the rebound took a good hop over towards the near boards where McEachran could get to it and clear it away for the Penguins.
Gordy Roberts has left the ice, going to the Penguin locker room. It might be some equipment problems. He's holding his glove. Maybe to believe he has some problems with that. Here are the Penguins now with command of the puck at center. Lemieux pulls it from behind his legs now and passes it up the Chicago line. Intercepted by Chelios of Chicago. Peluso, Graham, and Mike Hudson out here for the Hawks. But Shale Samuelsson finding Rick Tocchet on the left wing. And Tocchet drills it up behind the Chicago net. Eddie Belfour will leave it for Chris Chelios. Chelios and Smith pair defensively once again, and Shale Samuelsson winds it right back in behind Belfour. Belfour looking to get the puck to Smith, and they will. Up the alley to Mike Hudson of Chicago. Tap it up for Graham off his blade at the near corner of the Penguin zone. Pack turned around. Tocchet over to help out, and he clears the puck back to center. Steve Smith of Chicago. Softly sent it back in front of the Penguin net, but Jimmy Pack is there. Waited off a Hawk player's stick. That's Brett Sutter. And on to center for Lemieux, who was hit by Rod Buskus. It's grabbed now by Marchman of Chicago. And he's into the Penguins' end. Intercepted by Loney. Loney looks to dump it ahead. Intercepted by Chicago again. Here's the play where Pack is upended by Brian Noonan. Chicago taking the play to the Penguins physically here in the second period. Right behind the Penguin net, Troy Loney and Shale Samuelsson and Michel Goulet stack it up right there. So the Hawks keeping very strongly to their game plan here, Paul, and probably as good a stretch as we've seen them have here in the playoff games to date here, where they've been consistent in just taking the play to the Penguins and using the body extremely well.
Gordy Roberts is a guy who is very finicky about his equipment. He'll at times come off the ice in practice and take his skates off a couple of times, put them back on, and don't know what was wrong with his glove or his hand. It may have been a problem with his hand as he went off holding his glove, but Skip Thayer has not left the bench area. The Penguins trainer.
Scotty Bowman has been to the finals 8 times in his National Hockey League career. The first 3 times that he was to the finals, he lost. He has won the last 5, all with the Montreal Canadiens. And wristed around to the far corner of the Penguin zone. Ulf Samuelsson of Pittsburgh carries it across his own line to McEachran to the right side of the Chicago end. Drop pass here. Stevens with a reach shot, and he missed the net. Stevens led the way for the Penguins with 4 shots of the 8 the Penguins had in that first period. So he's getting opportunities to put it on the net. He's just not scoring right now.
Yeah, and he had only 2 shots in all of game 1. And Stevens said today that he was sick the night before game 1, sick to his stomach all night, and he just didn't have the strength in his legs in that first game that he normally has.
Penguins were called on an offside play. Well, Kevin will get his opportunities, and he had 4 against the Bruins in the game in that series. Before it's all done, I would not expect him to go scoreless against Chicago, just as I would not expect Roenick to not be able to get a point against the Penguins.
One area where teams have been able to shut down Stevens is on the power play, Mike. He has only 1 power play goal in the last 10 games.
Here's Pack now, shooting it right off the ankle of Steve Smith into the Chicago zone. Chelios pulling up, moving to the right of his own netminder Eddie Belfour. And they feed it to center, and Jimmy Pack stopped that maneuver. Sean McEachran looking for the puck at center ice. Chopped away to the Penguins end. Shell Samuelson hurries it along and out of the zone. The Hawks have to regain possession and set it up again. Brian Trottier in on Steve Smith, knocks him down. Shell Samuelson going to Troy Loney against Chelios on the right side of Yager. Into the Chicago end. Loney's in front of the net, but Chelios comes over. I think Yager expected to get a hit, and Beluso did hit him. Loney left side to Pacto in the Chicago end. Slip shot, and it's off the body of Eddie Belfour. Shell Samuelson races over, keeps it in behind the net to Yager, and he's crunched hard, and a hard check by Beluso. Slow and getting up is Yager.
He checked the number.
And up the center, it will be Jocelyn Lemieux dealing the puck into the Penguin zone. Jimmy Pack of the Penguins hit by Brent Sutter, but the puck to the right side. Trottier comes in, and Kuchera played it away from him into the Penguin bench. We'll be back 1-0 Pittsburgh, second period on the Penguins Hockey Network. Well, the Hawks aren't picky. I mean, they're going after everybody on every shift. They're taking a piece of the Penguins. Jaromir Jagr hit by Beluso a couple of times, and Jarmir's parents are here from Czechoslovakia, seeing him in the finals.
His dad's name is also Jaromir, and we found out from a lady today who told us that the Polish Catholic Church today is St. Jaromir Day. And St. Jaromir was a guy from Prague, Czechoslovakia. It's actually St. Jerome would be the English translation.
Up with the puck in the draw. Kuchera lost it to Mario Lemieux, and he will snap it in behind to Belfour, who puts the goaltender's blade on it. And one of the Penguins, Kuchera, knocking Tocchet into the net and play his whistle down. As the net is off the moorings, they'll have to check that net to see if any skate went through the meshing. And if it was cut, and if it is, the linesmen carry a needle and thread. Simple as that for those of you viewing on for the first time. And they stitch it up, sew it up, and you get back to play. Belfour, he wants to take a look. He's looking into the net.
I'll tell you, Mike, the book on Eddie Belfour is that he's one of the better puck-handling goaltenders in the league, but we haven't seen much indication of that yet in this series. He went behind the net to leave the puck for his defenseman Kravchuk, and that's just a standard play that he made there. Nothing out of the ordinary, but he does not appear to be a guy who gets out of the net all that quickly to move the puck, but he does have great athletic ability.
Well, Graham on here now with Brent Sutter and Stu Grimson for the Blackhawks. Francis, Stevens, and McEachran. And to the left point of the Chicago end, it's Ulf Samuelson shooting the puck off Stevens' backside. Controlled by Grimson, but he can't clear. Right point. Murphy fakes a shot. Now moves in. A slip shot, and Belfour caught that in the chest as he went down. Belfour invariably goes down on every play. Ronnie Francis battling now with Sutter as Gordy Roberts, the Penguin defenseman, comes back on the ice. And he'll probably replace Ulf Samuelson here and be paired with Murphy. Now Goulet comes over the boards, and he will be on for the Blackhawks.
Get a good look at Eddie Belfour's inverted Y style, where he gets those legs really spread out and then drops to his knees to make saves using the body. He's a pretty big goaltender. He doesn't look big because of the way he kind of makes himself smaller in the goal as far as height is concerned. He spreads out, but he's got good size. And the last guy who played that way in the Chicago Blackhawk uniform was Tony Esposito.
Former general manager of the Penguins and Hall of Famer in the National Hockey League.
He really basically revolutionized goaltending with that style. Call it the butterfly style, but also the inverted Y stance.
Long delay here. Swede Knox, the linesman. Just to let you know, the players are the nickname for Ulf Samuelson. When he first came, they called him Swede, and then the guys got a little smarter and they started to call him Knox instead of Swede because of Swede Knox. So they just call him Knox now. Hey, Knox. And the far side of the Penguins in off the wood. Doing for it will be Kevin Stevens, and he hops up in the play back to center against Chelios. Look out here, goes to Murphy, and he tried to get in deep, and it's off his stick right to Steve Smith. Counterattacking are the Chicago Blackhawks. This is game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals. The Penguins lead 1-0. They lead here 1-0 over the Chicago Blackhawks. The first period goal by Bob Airy. Stevens of Pittsburgh whoops it up ahead of Ronnie Francis. He's poke checked on the play, and the Hawks hold it in, but now they lose control of it to Larry Murphy. Murphy getting stronger in the second period. On to Francis, stick handle his way through traffic. Going to the near corner, left it there, but Steve Smith nicely out of the zone. The Penguins have 2 men trapped back, and they're tired players too. Here's Steve Smith going to the Penguin line. Looks for a trigger, and Goulet trying to carry it in all himself now to the near corner. Left it there. I'll tell you, the Hawks missed a great chance there. The Penguins had 2 men back. Rick Tocchet storming back, going to the Chicago end. Left side of Bourque with good speed against Chelios. Goes behind, put it in front, and it's off a body right to Belfour, who makes the play. They keep it out of the net. There's a play there where the Hawks went back on their own end, and Chelios, I think, was still on, and he got a little tired as the Penguins almost scored. 1-0 Pittsburgh on the Penguins Hockey Network.
Well, the Penguins had a 4-on-3 situation against them coming back, but Steve Smith handled the puck all the way in deep. So that meant that he was trapped, and the Penguins were able to turn the play back up ice quickly. And then all of a sudden it was them who had a 4-on-3. And it was Phil Bourque trying to set up Rick Tocchet in front, but the Hawks did a good job of getting back as quickly as they could to break up that play. Bourque hanging on to the puck a long time and enabling some Blackhawks to get back and cover Rick Tocchet. He still got that puck towards the net, and Eddie Belfour scrambled to make the save.
Boy, Bourque at 30 still has the wheels, and he can beat defenseman. Boy, going in wide. Here's Lemieux now near corner. Chicago man threw it in front, and it came right off Belfour. And he's able to smother that one. As both Tocchet now and one of the Hawks, that's Marchment, collide with one another. Tocchet getting right in there. He's got his nose involved here with the Blackhawks. And now what's Gregson going to do? Send both Barchman and Tocchet off? I think he just warned them, say, you guys keep it up. You're both going to go. And Gregson saying, hey, I've had enough of this. Enough of putting the hands in the face. He's warning both coaches. Keep your gloves down. That's what he's telling both Keenan of the Hawks and Scotty Bowman of the Penguins.
No, the old gunner used to call that guy the nitpicker. Phil Esposito, one of the great goal scorers in the history of the National Hockey League, played for the Boston Bruins, started his career with the Chicago Blackhawks, and ended it with the New York Rangers. And is now the owner, I guess you could say, president of the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Expansion team, which will start next year. Murphy right side, drills it right to the net, and up high on Eddie Belfour. He's able to smother that one. The Penguins getting a little better now on the faceoffs here, and the Hawks make a quick line change. Roney comes out here with Larmer and Goulet. Mike Keenan doesn't wait long. You lose a faceoff, and you're out of the. He pulls you right back off. I mean, you have to do everything total perfection, and he pulls you right out of there.
It's kind of interesting, Mike. It's really a battle of Mike Keenan and his system, the tactics that he likes to use against the individual creative talents of the Penguins. The Penguins are a team with a lot of guys who like to ad-lib on the ice.
Lemieux won the draw. Stanton right side, pulls in and shoot it off a leg. It caroms right to Michel Goulet. Bursting up ice is Roenick, and Goulet get it to him. He tries to play it by Samuelson, and Brasso comes out and sweeps it over to the far board. Stan of Pittsburgh goes to Tocchet, trying to headman the puck to Lemieux. He couldn't get it through, but Bourque will carry the puck coming to the Chicago line against Chelios. Now Bourque going the right side, and Lemieux has to go back and get it off the boards. To Stanton, wrists it towards the net. That's blocked, and the Hawks come up with it. And they have possession on the right wing. Roenick trying to get around Ulf Samuelson. Can't do it. He'll take a whack at Ulfie. Goulet is hit Stanton now, talking in his own end. Ahead for Lemieux. He has one man to beat Kuchera. Lemieux drives in behind him. In a goal, he can't beat him. As Belfour came out and challenged him and knocked the puck right off his stick before he could pull the trigger. He almost had him on the ice swimming and pulled it around him, but a good play by Belfour to win that individual battle against Mario Lemieux.
And that's what he did in the skills competition against Yager one time. He likes to do that against guys on breakaways, and it worked that time.
Lemieux again to the left side of the Chicago zone to Bob Airy. Airy pulls up stutter step now, and Kravchuk in on him, the Chicago defenseman, and Grimson comes over to take the loose puck. Winded ahead down the right side. The Penguins lead 1-0 here in the second period in Game 2 of this playoff series for the Stanley Cup. The only goal came in the first period by Bob Airy of the Pens. Well, Lemieux driving in. He put that afterburner on against Kuchera. And I think that he thought he had a little more time. The Belfour came out and challenged him quickly and knocked it away before he could sneak it in behind him. Yeah, put the stick out. Mario, I think, had visions of goal number 2. And number 14 for him in the playoffs. He'll learn from that. Believe me, Mario will. So Belfour, 1-on-1, makes a nice play to stop Lemieux. And the Penguins will be guilty of an icing play here as they drive it to the Chicago zone. They'll bring it back into Pittsburgh territory. 1-0 Pittsburgh on the Penguins Hockey Network.
Well, the Penguins were hoping to reverse the play here tonight as much as possible in their own end. Gordy Roberts does it here in the right wing corner, as you'll see. He pushes it back up the same way that the puck came. Unfortunately, Larmer was right there, but he gave it right to Rick Tocchet, who just turned and found Mario Lemieux at center ice. And Lemieux went in, and Belfour cleared it off his stick.
Chicago in this period has had only one shot on goal, but they've played better than the one shot would indicate, believe me. They just haven't had that many opportunities against Brasso. They've used the body and played their game plan the way they wanted, but they haven't had many scoring chances. And here's Loney up to the blue line of the Penguins, the Chicago end. He shoots it in. Belfour winded around by Shell Samuelson and on back to Penguin territory. Jimmy Pack hustles back. The Penguin defenseman avoiding Jocelyn Lemieux, and now Pack was knocked down by Lemieux as the puck on to center, now to the Penguin line, and Shel Samuelson. Trottier picks it up, and the Pens can't get in. They would have been offside. Chicago controls, and they just flip it up in front of the Penguin bench. Shel Samuelson gave it away to Chris Chelios. Hurry it down the left wing, deep into the Penguins' end, and Barrasso's going to come out and play the puck. Whack it around with one arm to Loney, who has to take the check from Chelios. Trying to wrist it out of the zone. Shel Samuelson has the puck. And the Penguin defenseman Aloni on the Yager right side, and Larmer steps into him. Slowed him down. Yager's going to come off the ice now. And here to the near wing, Steve Smith goes rink wide to Roenick, in against Pack now one-on-one. Pack poke checks it off his stick before he can pull it around him. And Pack has the puck on to Kevin Stevens and off his leg and back to center. Nice defensive play by Jimmy Pack, the Penguin defenseman, against Jeremy Roenick. Roenick lines up Stanton and shoulders him. Roenick continues to use the body against the Penguins, and effectively and cleanly. Off the left wing side of the Chicago zone. The Hawks take control of it. They go behind their own goal, and Steve Smith will get the puck back to Chris Chelios. Chelios up to center. 1-0 Pittsburgh. 11 minutes left here in the second period in game number 2 of this playoff series. Stanton from behind the net. Wrap it around. Kuchera left point. He drills one. Hit one of the Hawks in front. Hit Grimson. Loose puck pulled in by Ronnie Francis, and he simply clears it up to center. Kuchera knocking down Stevens. Play will continue as Kevin checks his face. In the center circle, it'll be Ulf Samuelson getting the puck over to Kevin Stevens. And he will run into Stu Grimson, and now he whacks him as he comes off the ice. Chicago's Dirk Graham carries the mail up to center ice to Brent Sutter. Sutter step in, and he can't make a play as the Penguins' Barrasso gets the puck. Find a man at center. It's Ronnie Francis. He is hit, knocked off his skates. Tocchet has it. He lost control of it at Dirk Graham. But he gave it away to Ronnie Francis. One of the Penguins trapped inside. That's Bork. He will shoot it in. Bork gets back on side, but the Hawks have possession of the puck. And Dirk Graham of Chicago goes right wing over to Greg Gilbert. Looks for a flying Mike Hudson. He has to slow down and take the puck at center red. Shoots that one in. Or all the way to the near side. The Hawks get to the puck first, and Gilbert knocked down by Tocchet, and here come the Penguins with Bork carrying the puck. Up to the Chicago wing, goes to Lemieux, coming down the slot. He's knocked down, play continues, loose puck around the net, and that's not wide. Lemieux gets it again. Hudson's all over him. Tocchet in the far corner. Around to the left point to Roberts, and he played it off Gilbert, and Gilbert's coming around up ice, and he's knocked down by Gordy Roberts. Now Noonan into the Penguins end. Pulled down by Roberts, and play goes on, knocked in. The Hawks score. Right in front, Brian Marchman has tied the game for Chicago. Well, the bouncing puck loose, and Marchman, I believe, will get the goal. He came way in deep on the play, and Chicago has tied it.
A strange goal that was, because Tocchet was right there to try to clear it away. Lemieux was upended on a good play, actually, by Marchman, so he was at both ends of the rink on this play. Now, Lemieux was able to find the loose puck as Belfour wasn't unable to get it. The play came back the other way. Lemieux was back behind the play at this point. Noonan did a nice job to swing around Roberts. He pulled him down, and Marchman just turned and hammered that puck past Barrasso. What an individual effort by Brian Marchman at both ends of the rink to tie the game for the Hawks.
Absolutely. An excellent play. Keenan screaming, I think, at one of the Penguins there. Marchman gets the goal. It's his first in the playoffs, and a big one it is for Chicago, and they've tied the game. 10:24 the time of the goal. Noonan will assist, and so will Greg Gilbert. So we've got a brand new hockey game. And the Hawks again lead it inside the Penguin line. Ulf Samuelson has the puck at center in the far wing. Bob Airy is hit by Jocelyn Lemieux. And now Trottier at center, getting the puck over to Ulf Samuelson. Right wing to Stanton, moves in a slip shot, stopped by Belfour. The rebound's in front, and Chelios plays it away, but not out. Yager right side, shoot it towards that goal. Where it's taken by Brian Trottier. Trottier gets it to Bobby Airy behind the net. Yager steps out, trying to shoot it, and was poke checked in the last second by Chelios. Good defensive play by Chris Chelios as Yager stepped out in front. We are tied at 1 in the second period. 9:02 left here in this frame, and we'll return on the Penguins Hockey Network. Brian Marchman was a former #1 draft choice of the Winnipeg Jets out of Belleville, and he was a pretty good offensive defenseman in his junior days. Traded in an exchange for Warren Reichel and Troy Murray, I believe, went to Winnipeg in exchange for Marchman.
Gordy Roberts and Larry Murphy both failed to do the job there in their own end, as Roberts allowed Noonan to beat him, and then Murphy allowed Marchman to get position on him and just bump him right out of the way to turn and shoot the puck. It was just really a case of good individual effort by the Blackhawks on the goal. If you let it roll, you'll just see that, first of all, an interception by Gilbert forced the play back up into the Penguins' end. He was hauled down at center ice, but nothing was called. That might have been the penalty against Roberts, and then he knocked down Noonan, so he could have had 2 penalties called against him. But right here you have Marchment just driving Larry Murphy right out of the way. Tocchet was there, but he didn't get a stick on it before Marchment did. And that's just good individual work by the Hawks.
Bounced up into Chicago territory and cleared now by Brent Sutter. Onto the Penguin zone, and Jimmy Pack defensively. Unable to clear. The Hawks come in. And they sneak it in behind the Penguin cage. Pack has to hurry it. And he does to Shell Samuelson. Samuelson bumped by Goulet. Yager trying to move it up. Lemieux's out here with Stevens and Yager right now. And the Penguins put the offensive guns out here in an effort to maybe try and retake the lead. And they've got the 2 defensemen that they want out here against this line with Kuchera and Kravchuk back. But the Pens are going to be guilty of an icing call here with 8:19 left, and that allows Mike Keenan to make the change that he wants. And I'm almost sure he'll make some changes here if this line remains out.
Puts Marchment on the ice. I guess he's happy with the way he's playing, so he's going to reward him with more ice time.
And put Busquets out against this line with a face-off in the Penguin zone. Now Busquets turns around and is headed back towards the bench.
Well, Smith was on the ice for 11 minutes and 9 seconds in the first period, and Chelios was on the ice for 13 minutes and 22 seconds. Scotty Bowman was very concerned in Game 1 again about the number of delays because of the TV commercials. There's 8 commercials in these games per period. It used to be only 6, and then they raised it to 7 a couple of years ago. Now you've got 8. That's a lot of delays and TV timeouts, and it gives coaches a chance to rest their players, and certainly Mike Keenan has been able to take advantage of.
Roenick down to Larmer. Look out. He shoots it right on him. Barrasso with a pad save on that. And Ulf Samuelson left it for Mario Lemieux, and he just whacks it up ice back into Chicago territory. Eddie Belfour, who gave up the first goal of the game to Bob Airy, a shorthanded goal in the first period. The Hawks have tied it here in the second. Lemieux tried to steal an ongoing rush. He couldn't do that, but it is pushed up inside the Penguin line. Less than 8 minutes left here in this third period, and Tocchet is hammered by Marchment at center ice on a big booming check.
That's the open ice hitting that we expected from Marchment.
Runs into Marchment. Now a penalty coming up, and who's it going to be against? Paul Stanton, apparently. Stanton retaliated against Marchment, and I think that he'll get the penalty. 7:48 left in the second, and a 1-1 tie on the Penguins Hockey Network.
Brian Marchment is noted for catching guys with their head down in the neutral zone, and he did that to Rick Tocchet. And then Stanton came over to bump him, and he put the elbow up into Paul Stanton as they met and collided at center ice, and Marchment picks up the elbowing penalty. Stanton came over, and he just delivered that elbow to the side of his head and never allowed him to make contact.
I thought he was going to whistle Stanton off. And the check that he put on Tocchet appeared to be a pretty clean one. So Francis out here with Tocchet and Stevens and Lemieux and Murphy, of course, on the Penguin power play, which has been held without a goal on 3 attempts here against the Chicago penalty killing. Barrasso fires it by Larmer, and the Penguins have to come up out of their own end. Tocchet's pass right to Chelios, and he flips it back inside the Penguin line. The Penguins have really hoped. Barrasso almost played that puck and put it in his own net. It came off his stick. Larmer's trapped back, and the Penguins now have a 5-on-3 if they get it going to the Chicago line. Larmer's trying to get back, and they give it away. Boy, the Pens with an errant play there, and that hurt them because Larmer was trapped way back up ice in the Penguin zone. And here's Lemieux carrying the mail. Marios pass to Tocchet, a beauty to the Chicago zone. On the right side, pass it for Stevens. That was too hard. Tocchet comes in to take it again, and Lemieux in front. Hey! Shoots and scores! Mario Lemieux gives the Penguins a lead. Ah, scratch my back with a hacksaw. Mario Lemieux.
Well, the Hawks say they got to keep their eye on Lemieux. They got to know where he is at all times. This was a good play by Kevin Stevens to take the body against Steve Smith and rub him out of the play. Tocchet immediately got to the puck and moved it to Lemieux, who was in scoring position already, set for the pass. Chelios was out of position. Lemieux just sneaking into scoring position at the right time. Cruising around like a shark, and he yelled for that puck, and it was right on the tape. He was already in shooting motion when it came to him. And he fired that up into the upper corner, too. What a shot by Lemieux to be able to find the spot in the net at the same time that he was looking to his right for the puck and then instantly putting it where he wanted. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I remember the play. Like, I just remember trying to get in there and, create a loose puck, and trying to get in there first and get to the body. But, that's like you said, it was, it was such a grudge match. And Smitty's the same type of player. Like, he's, if I don't, if I don't reel him, he's gonna take me. So, you might as well try to do what you can to get him first because they, And like you said, Marshman too. Another guy. Like it's a series, and it's going to be physical, and it's going to be tight, and the power plays are huge, and any time in these playoffs, if you can generate something on your power play and score and create offense, and create that ability to get the fans involved, to get our team jumping a little bit. That's huge, and anytime we could score on the power play was big.
Thundering check on Troy Looney. Gilbert comes in to put the body in on Shell Samuelson. Gilbert to the Hawks battling. The Hawks are giving everything they have right now. Penguins lead 2-1. In the second period, and Trottier pulls up and drills it back into the Chicago far corner. Belfour coming out to take the puck. Winding around to the near side. And it'll be Mike Hudson steering the puck through to center. Rolf Samuelson cut that off, and Brian Trottier bangs it right back in behind Eddie Belfour.
And Belfour showing his puck handling ability now, Mike, as he comes out and moves that puck quickly to his defenseman.
Gilbert of Chicago lost it to Stanton. The Penguins again return it to Chicago territory. Steve Smith around the horn to Chris Chelios. Chelios at center ice, cut off by Stanton. Stands past to McEachran into Chicago territory, and he shoots it right to the net, and Belfour is going to glove it down low and hold on. 5:28 left, second period. Pittsburgh holding on to a slight one-goal lead, 2-1 on the Penguins Hockey Network. Jeremy Roenick's line out here, and the Penguins so far have done a tremendous job of shutting him down in the first two games, but he is that type of player that at any time can explode very quickly. Mario Lemieux in the Chicago win against Larmer for the faceoff to the left of Belfour. The two coaches stare on. Right to the net, and Belfour is going to make that play and stop it again. And the Hawks make a line change.
Take a look on our telestrator, Mike, of what happened on the power play goal by the Penguins. Roll it right now. You'll see Rick Tocchet carries the puck. Moves it over towards Kevin Stevens, actually into the corner. Smith gets the puck first, but Stevens takes him and rubs him right out of the play. Meantime, stop it right there. Dirk Graham has completely vacated the spot where Mario Lemieux was. Look how wide open he is. Tocchet moves it to him. The defenseman came out too late as well. Chris Chelios, and Lemieux buries the puck.
Ronnie Francis steps in right wing circle in the Chicago zone. Ian McEachran along with Stevens now against this line, as of course the Penguins have the last change at home. The Hawks will have that advantage on their home ice coming up on Saturday. Graham up the left side. Roberts takes it. He shoots it. Was deflected. Loose in front. The Hawks come away with it. And Marchment returns it back to center. Larry Murphy of the Penguins up in the air to Kevin Stevens. And Stevens hustles up to the Chicago line. A long slap shot down to his knees to make the save as Eddie Belfour just stops Kevin Stevens on the long range slap shot.
Now that's twice now the Penguins have drilled the puck to the net long on Eddie Belfour. McEachran did it earlier, and he went over and he wanted to know why Eddie Belfour got away with freezing the puck, even though there were no Penguins around him at the time. But the Penguins, on the other hand, are driving to the net right after those shots come in and making the defenseman work. And that's one good thing. If the goaltender's going to freeze it like that, don't give up on the play. Keep driving to the net, because at least you tire out those defensemen and make them hold you up as you drive to the goal. Eddie Belfour just holding on to that puck. But if you rolled that replay a little further, you'd see that the Penguins kept driving to the net and make the life a little tougher for those Chicago defensemen.
5 minutes and 5 seconds left here in the second period. Pittsburgh 2, Chicago 1. And Jocelyn Lemieux against Mario Lemieux. And Jocelyn Lemieux has the faceoff win. He turned it to center ice, and Mario Lemieux takes it away to Larry Murphy on the right wing of the Chicago zone. And he shoots it across the blue line. The Penguins are offside. He just came to that blue line ready to step in. And when he flipped it up, one of the Penguins was inside the zone, and so the offside call. Game 3 on Saturday night. 8:30 our broadcast time. And then Monday night, same time, 8:30, an hour behind in Chicago. Game 5, if necessary, here at the arena on Wednesday. And Game 6 has been moved to Saturday night, June 6th. And Game 7 will still remain June 8th.
Penguins, Mike, have done a good job of being able to withstand the forechecking pressure of the Hawks. As you said earlier, they were hitting and making their game work, but the Penguins did a good job of matching them in the hard work department in their own end, staying right with them and making sure that the Hawks were not able to turn that good forechecking into great scoring opportunities.
Isn't it ironic? Here's Tocchet over to the Chicago end, going down to Lemieux. He shoots and scores again! Mario Lemieux gives the Penguins a 3-1 lead. Oh, Michael motorcycle. Mario Lemieux
And once again, Mike Keenan did not have his top two defensemen on the ice.
He's amazing.
He's got Brian Marchment and Rod Buskus on the ice. Tocchet worked around the winger off the boards, gave it to Lemieux, and you've got a matchup like that with Peluso out there and the two defensemen that Keenan had out against that top line of the Penguins. You've got the wrong guys on the ice.
And here's the play on the center, and Tocchet, who gets another assist, and he is up in it and heavily knocked to the ice by Brian Marchment. That was a good check by Marchment, and Tocchet knew it, and he comes right back looking for it. Lemieux was knocked down at center also. It is 3-1. The Penguins lead here in the second. Oh, a heavy check by Grimson on Lemieux. Smashes him. And the puck goes on to Jocelyn Lemieux. Jocelyn Lemieux to the right wing. He bowls over Jimmy Pack and knocks him down. Now the battle gets a little heavier here as the Hawks are running anything like a bulldozer in a construction yard. Shell Samuelson. Lemieux with 2 goals in the second period. Penguins leading 3-1. Kevin Stevens losing control of it to Mike Hudson. He lined up by Shell Samuelson, knocked down. Backhanded away off the boards and back down to Chicago territory. And an icing call here against the Penguins. Well, Lemieux again is second of the night, 15th of the year, and the time of the goal is 15:23.
And both times, perfect passes by Rick Tocchet right on the tape where Lemieux could work with his pass and get the shot away, and he just drilled it. That was Claude Lemieux, or I should say Jocelyn Lemieux, brother of Claude Lemieux, running over Jimmy Pack. That's what he does. He's like a truck. And his brother Claude is the same way. Mario Lemieux ran into a truck too.
Stu Grimson caught him at center ice. I think that was the second time he got hit on that shift. And the Penguins just holding cool right now, leading 3-1. Mario Lemieux from Rick Tocchet and Shell Samuelson. So Tocchet has really had a tremendous playoff year for the Penguins, despite being out with a separated shoulder. He has really come on. Tocchet has scored now in 8 games, has 13 points. Mario Lemieux with 2 goals, leading everybody in scoring, and he got 2 more tonight. Mike Hudson in against Francis, and the puck pulled back in behind the Penguin goal. Gordy Roberts hit by Hudson around that far side. I don't know if the Hawks can play the body any harder than they have in the second period. Believe me, I just don't see them being any more physical than they have been in the second period, and they are still behind 3-1.
And if we take a look on our telestrator, you can see how the goal developed for the Penguins with Mario Lemieux, and Rick Tocchet did a tremendous job of just out-muscling Brian Marchment on the boards. Marchment was going for that puck, and Tocchet just overwhelmed him and took the puck away from him. Now, stop it right there. Rod Buskus comes over to meet Tocchet. That leaves a lane for Mario Lemieux, and Peluso is a little late getting back as well. Okay, roll it. Now Tocchet just goes to Lemieux. Buskus goes to him. Lemieux puts it in the net. But that's a great play by Tocchet to overwhelm Marchment and enable him to get him out of the play, and then Buskus had to come back and try to help out his defense partner, and that left Lemieux wide open.
Boy, as strong as this Chicago team has played physically, and we take nothing away from them that, they have only 3 shots on goal, and one of those was a goal by Brian Marchment in the second period. So the Penguins have to be doing something right and keeping that puck away from their net, despite the fact that the Hawks have pounded them here in the second. Here in the near corner, Jimmy Pack turned around, and Mateau got a piece of him, and now Pack slaps back a little bit at him. The Penguins have just about had enough of the physical play. The Hawks are just continuing it here, and the Penguins trying to maintain. The faceoff will be called for outside of the Penguin blue line.
Once again, Mike, Jeremy Roenick has not been a factor in this hockey game for the Hawks.
And a lot of that has to do, I think, with Ulf Samuelson.
Yeah, you got it. Roenick sits on the bench, wondering where his game went.
Penguin defenseman, but the way they've matched up against him, too, he's not been able to get people open. I noticed one thing, too, though, Paul. I noticed what a much better player at home Steve Larmer has been this year than he has been on the road. And I know the Hawks have won a lot of games in this playoff campaign, but he has been a much better player at home than he has on the road. In fact, in the regular season, I think he had only 7 goals on the road of the 29 that he had. So that might be part of it, too. Not that Larmer has played all that poorly here in this series to date, but it is something to consider. And, of course, the Hawks will be returning home. But the Penguins are not in total control of this game by any means. They lead 3-1 with 2:48 left in the second, and here are the Hawks to center. Gutierrez steps into the Penguins end. Let's get the whistle. It's offside, and that is the call. A little late there by the linesman, but nonetheless, the call was made with 2:43 left here in the second period. But you know what? We talk about Roenick and we talk about Larmer, but and you know it and I know it. And just like Lemieux and certain people, you can keep them down so long and then all of a sudden, boom, they just explode. And they're right in your face, and all of a sudden they've tied a hockey game. So don't think that that's put away safely. Believe me.
Well, Jeremy Roenick scored 53 goals during the regular season, and he can find the net. 103 points. He's already had 3 game-winning goals in the playoffs.
This is not the time to really compare people, but I'm going to tell you right now, the way Lemieux is playing here in the playoffs and the end of the year, Mario Lemieux is that much further above everybody on the ice. And I think it's just continuing here. I mean, he is just a step ahead of every player on that ice surface, no matter who it is. And you can talk about Roenick all you want, and Jágr and Stevens and Larmer and other people. Lemieux is just standing above everybody at the moment.
It's amazing how a guy that big and that dangerous can find open space on the ice the way he does. You hear the coaches constantly talking about we got to take away his space, deny him the puck. He's just too smart.
And here is the play back to the Chicago bench. The puck into the bench. Stanton was knocked down by Gilbert.
And Greg Gilbert's had a tough career with injuries, knee injuries in particular. He got kneed by Craig Muni, who was then suspended as a result of that. We see Paul Stanton down on the ice right now. He's been injured. Looks like he got hurt in the face somehow. A collision with Gilbert. Gilbert got in a collision with Craig Muni in the Edmonton series and was knocked out of the game and out of that the rest of that series. Stanton took a shot by Gilbert against the wood, and then he just got his face rubbed against the glass or the bench, the boards in front of the bench as he went down.
Well, the Penguins leading 3-1 over Chicago here in the second period. Bob Airey had the only goal in the first period, his third of the playoffs. And Marchment connecting for Chicago in the second to make it 1-1. Mario Lemieux in a power play goal at 12:55, and Lemieux again at 15:23, and Pittsburgh leading by a pair.
The keys to the Penguins' success here tonight has been their ability to work their forecheck system pretty well. They've kind of decided to go to more of that 1-4 trap, the way they played it against the Washington Capitals, a more patient game, so that the Hawks were unable to get the good dump-ins at the blue line and get good speed into the Penguins' end.
And I would really look for them to do that in Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
You know, coming up against this team at home before the home crowd, first Stanley Cup Championship Series since '73. But everybody has talked about Chicago, and please don't mistake me. I know it's going to be a tough chore to win any games in there. But you have to remember the Penguins went into Minnesota, and that was the loudest building in the league last year, even louder than Chicago. They had gone on a streak and won everything. The Penguins won there.
You know, we had been down this road before. You know, when we played the Minnesota North Stars in '91, they tried to get physical with us too, and we were able to take those punches and then beat them on the power play. The other part is, you know, a guy like Van Hellemond, you know, you could get away with a lot more. You knew those referees on an individual basis. Gregson was a guy a little more tight to the vest. You know, he wasn't going to let you get away with so much, where Van Hellemond would. So you had to know that as a player, referee game by game.
I thought he got his face bumped against the top of the boards, but in effect, I think it was Chris Chelios on the bench giving Stanton a shot from the bench. Yeah, he rubbed the butt end of his stick right in his face. He moved it over there and just, look at him. Chris Chelios is the one who did that to Paul Stanton. And another notch in the belt of Chris Chelios, who is, as I said in game one of the dirtiest players in the National Hockey League. But to be dirty, you've got to be smart and sneaky.
Well, Lemieux stares in here. Belfour watching the play cautiously as Stevens and Tocchet are on the wings now for Mario Lemieux. Stevens wants a new blade. Gordy Roberts and Larry Murphy and the Hawks here with Jocelyn Lemieux to handle the face-off against his counterpart, Mario Lemieux. Minute 49 left, second period. And Scampanello wants everybody set before he drops the puck, and Jocelyn Lemieux won that draw. There's a little strange there. Mario had not been handling a lot of face-offs, Paul. You know, that back problem that he had, but he handles one there again. Lifted on now to the Penguin zone by Chicago. A minute 35 left here in the period, and Larry Murphy spins it over to Gordy Roberts. Can't clear. Matteau tries to steal. He cuts in. He's pressured now by Roberts, and the puck out of the zone. Vlad Buskas comes over. He runs into Rick Tocchet. And right at the Chicago line, taking possession of the puck will be Jocelyn Lemieux. And he shoots it off Gordy Roberts' stick. And here's a collision between Stevens and Jocelyn Lemieux. Matowin working for it. Mario Lemieux comes over and works it back to the Chicago line. Defenseman Igor Kravchuk finding Mike Hudson. He blows by one man coming to the Penguins' ears. Trying to pass it over. Larry Murphy broke up that attempted pass across for Greg Gilbert. Penguins hustling out of their own end as Greg Gilbert got a piece of Kevin Stevens, and onto the Hawks zone it goes. Returning to take the puck will be Fredisak Kuchera. Chasing him is Bork. Kuchera finds Hudson with a minute left there in the period. Whip it into the Penguins in and hit the back of the net. Stanton hurries it along now to Bob Airy. He is solidly hit by Noonan. They both go down. Francis over. He gets the puck out of danger and on to center. Bob Airy has lost his helmet. Now Noonan whacks him with a stick, and they continue to battle one another. Here from the Chicago end, it'll be Kuchera looking for Mike Peluso. He goes against Samuelson. Samuelson rides him halfway to the glass. And the Hawks take the puck. They go into the Penguins' end. Stanton running into Brian Noonan. And play is whistled down on an offside play against Chicago with 16.4 seconds left here in the second period. We're going to get a penalty coming up here.
I believe we are, and the Hawks are getting a little carried away with the physical stuff, Mike. I want to show you on a face-off earlier. Stop it right there. Look at that. Right off a draw, Stu Grimson goes up and delivers an elbow right to the head of Kevin Stevens, right off the face-off. Now the Hawks get a bench penalty.
Second time they've been caught for 2 men on the ice.
Keenan was livid about that after game one. It's just an undisciplined situation. A lot of times you've got a tendency to blame the coach when there are too many men on the ice.
This was Ulf Samuelson hitting Peluso. There's certainly no question the Hawks have had the better of the play from the hard checks in this second period, but the Penguins have withstood them all, and they have the lead in the game 3-1. Mario Lemieux on the power play. This will carry over to the third if the Penguins do not score here. With time running out in the second period, Larry Murphy up for Mario Lemieux. Cuts around Larmer into the Chicago zone against Jellis. Goes to Stevens. In front for Tocchet, and he just missed that pass. Tocchet now fire it back in front of the net. 2 seconds left, and on to center. Chelios is going to ram it all the way to the Penguin goal, and it's stopped by Barrasso. The second period comes to an end at the end of 2. Here in game 2, the Pittsburgh Penguins lead the Chicago Blackhawks 3-1 on the Penguins Hockey Network.
Spring in Pittsburgh. For the last 13 years, it has brought us together. And while we aren't physically together this year, we are most certainly all together. We are used to seeing gold towels, feeling an overtime goal, and cheering for heroes based on their surname. We are seeing that the human spirit cannot be broken, feeling the warmth of people helping those in need, and cheering the heroes based on their profession. So, while there may not be hockey this spring, we are all engaged with the playoff intensity to win this battle. We are in this together.
The only way you take away that 5-hole is to drop down to your knees quickly and make the save. But he couldn't get down quickly enough to stop that shot by Lemieux. Went off his pad and caromed into the net.
Penguins start the third period on a power play, and they have a minute and 43 seconds to work with here on this advantage on a penalty taken by the Hawks on a bench minor late in the second period. And Steve Smith of the Hawks has possession of it. Penguins 1 for 4 with a man advantage here against Chicago tonight. And they are now 3 for 10, 30% on the conversion rate against Chicago in the series. Out to Yager, streaks his way into the Chicago end. Gives the puck over to Mario Lemieux. Lemieux in the slot for Francis, off his stick. Chelios over, being pressured. Now Stevens behind the net. He is hit by Steve Smith. Lemieux with the Penguins. The Hawks should have a little advantage here because their defensemen and people are fresh to start the period. And they whack it up the boards. It's not like it's later on the tail end of a period where they might be a little on the tired side. They should be fresh with the intermission rest. And Murphy pulling back. Finds Ulf Samuelson. He'll give it over to Tocchet, and Scotty Bowman using Samuelson now on this power play and just not wanting to give up a shorthanded goal if at all possible. Buskas swinging around the near boards. 34 seconds to go. A shot by Samuelson deflected by Tocchet and offline. Now it goes to Lemieux. Lemieux trying to hold it. Pokes it back to the left point to Ulf Samuelson. Got it around with Goulet. Now to Lemieux. Back on the right point to Larry Murphy of Pittsburgh. In the slot. Here's Stevens. Can't hold that pass. Murphy, great play to keep it in right point. Shoots it. Matteau blocked that, and now he throws it up and into the penalty box. Stefan Matteau moving that puck out of his own end with a glove, and it's legal. Now, if a Hawk would have touched it across the blue line, then it would have been called back. But Murphy again with a good play on the backhand to hold that puck in.
And the great play about the thing about that play by Murphy, Mike, is the fact that when he stops the puck on the backhand side, he's already in skating motion to pull that puck back over to the forehand. He's a pretty mobile guy. He doesn't have a lot of great quickness on his skates, but he's pretty nifty on his skates, and he made a nice play there to hold the puck in.
Stanton has a bouncing puck come outside of the Hawks line, and Ulf Samuelsson now drills it in behind Eddie Belfour. 8 seconds left in the penalty to the Hawks. Dirk Graham serving that. He looks to the bench. Where do you want me to go? Do you want me to come on or play on this shift? That's what he's waving from the bench from. He stays on. Puck into the Penguins in, and a heavy check on Stanton of the Penguins. Ulf Samuelsson comes over. Greg Gilbert got a piece of him and play a stop. And they hold it now in the Penguin zone for a face-off. 18:09 left, third period. Pittsburgh 3, Chicago 1 on the Penguins Hockey Network.
Paul Stanton really felt the wrath of Brian Noonan as he went back to play the puck. Noonan came along and really drilled him up around the ribs on the left side, and he took a long time before he got up off his knees and got back onto his skates to go to the bench.
Those dasher boards are spaced there from the top of them to the glass, and he got his ribs right on those boards right there and got rammed heavily into it. Michelle Samuelsson looked to get it up to Rick Tocchet, banged it away, but not out. Matteau shoots one. That almost got Parasso off balance, but it missed the net. Chelios takes a slap shot. That's blocked, and Ronnie Francis Cooley beats it ahead of center to Rick Tocchet of Pittsburgh. 1-on-2 to the Chicago line. Steve Smith comes over and takes a piece of Tocchet. The puck in behind the Chicago goal. Chelios hit by Bob Airy. And that's the play there where Bob Airy can give you that type of check the Hawks are giving. Trottier has it, shoots it. Almost got that one by Belfour, but he got a right leg out to make the save on Brian Trottier. Roberts over down to Shell Samuelsson, and Samuelsson flip it in behind the Chicago goal. Belfour had it, and here is Jogger with a heavy check on him by Mike Hudson as they got the arms up high. And wristed back into Penguin territory. Roberts going for the puck. Penguin defenseman trying to avoid Hudson. Hudson steps into him, but the Penguins have it. Deflected off Airy, sticking into the Chicago zone. Ryan Marchment finding Mike Peluso. Peluso's pass cut off by Trottier, and he will just bang that one right back towards the goal area. Belfour sets it up for defenseman Marchment. Brian Marchment got around Lemieux. Marchment with good skating to the left side of Peluso. Peluso shoots it near corner, and he goes after his own pass. Instead it goes to the Hawks. Mike Hudson. Peluso trying to center for Noonan. Intercepted by Lemieux, and here comes Mario now rushing back. Pass over to Murphy to the Chicago line. Murphy left side of Lemieux around a man coming with the net. Oh, he almost turned that one behind Belfour. He had him turned around leaning the wrong way, but he couldn't get it in. Murphy at the right side keeps it alive for the Penguins into the near corner, and the Hawks take command of it, and Brian Noonan will push that one back to center. Marchment gets control of it for the Hawks, and up to Michel Goulet. Right up to the Penguin line, and he dumps it in. Ulf Samuelsson turns, whistling off the sideboards, and it caroms all the way back to Chicago territory. The Hawks come back to get it, and there's no icing. It's František Kuchera, the Hawk defenseman, going behind his netminder. That's Eddie Belfour. Kuchera onto center red, and again they fire it in. The Hawks race in to try and get it, and here's Ulf Samuelsson, or Shell Samuelsson hit by Jocelyn Lemieux, but the Penguins simply spin it out of their own end, and the Hawks have to go back and get it again. This reminds me of the Penguin power play at times when the Hawks force the issue and then shoot it back up ice. The Penguins are just getting that puck far enough, not for icing, so the Hawks have to go all the way back and get it again. Now Brent Sutter shoots it in towards the Penguin goal, and Barrasso plays it off the glass and up to the blue line, kept in. Drilled right back into the right wing corner. Chicago's Jocelyn Lemieux hit by Jimmy Pack, and the Penguins just carry it off the glass. This one will be far enough for icing, however. No, they ruled it's not. It stopped in the corner before it crossed that red line. It must cross the red line, and it did not. And the Penguins are making those plays even right. Here's Larmer, though, to the Penguin zone, and offside against Chicago, a two-line offside pass. They played almost 5 minutes here in the third, and the Penguins lead Chicago by the score of 3-1 on the Penguins Hockey Network.
Penguins are doing a good job at their blue line of taking the Hawks. Sean McEachern coming back late on the play, but the Penguins are doing a good job of making the Hawks dump the puck in and then getting back, holding up the forwards, stop it, holding up the first guy in on the puck, Shel Samuelson, the first man to get there with that long reach, and he swept it away, and the Penguins able to chip it out of their own end. They're doing a good job right now defensively against the Hawks at their blue line.
Stefan Matteau finding Mike Peluso, who got around Loney, coming to the Penguins end on the right wing boards to Dirk Graham. Graham put it right on the net. That's a stop. The rebound comes off Loney right to the net. And Barrasso stopped that one also, but a penalty coming up against the Penguins. It'll be a holding call against Pittsburgh. And Chicago will get a power play with the Penguins leading 3-1, and they've got the door open. Let's see if the Hawks can get back into it on the Penguins Hockey Network. Gordy Roberts of Pittsburgh, a holding call, and this penalty at 5:09, and Chicago 0 for 2 on the power play tonight. Will get its third opportunity of the evening.
Roberts went over to block the centering pass. Barrasso had to scramble to make a save. Peluso tried to move the puck with his glove, which would have been a hand pass, and Roberts cleared it away, but he was being held while he did that by Gordy Roberts.
So power play chance number 3 for the Hawks. Roenick.
Every game this series, if you look at it, was really different, and this game was a little bit of a grudge match. There wasn't a lot of chances, there wasn't a lot of shots, there wasn't a lot up and down stuff, but when we got the lead, we were able to protect it. And I think that's a bonus to all the big guys, a lot of the guys that that play a lot of minutes, because it's hard to protect leads sometimes, but when we learned how to do it and it worked, and when you learn how to do something and it works, you stick with it.
All right, we're back to play again from center ice. Steve Smith going over to Larmer now to the right side of the Penguins end. A bouncing puck goes into the corner of Samuelson, hit by Jeremy Roenick. Penguins trying to kill this penalty. And a pass by Francis on the play up to the Chicago zone. 1:25 to go on the penalty to Gordy Roberts. Lemieux and Francis, the penalty killers. Mario also dangerous here, even shorthanded. Looking to pick up a man. The Hawks step up to center. And Chris Chelios shoots it in and took a bad bounce off the glass, but Barrasso recovers. He came out to play the puck behind the net, but had to come back and make the save. Chelios reams one wide of the goal. Larmer's in front of the net. He knocks down Barrasso. Play goes on. Tommy trying to get back up, and Larmer and Barrasso colliding right in front, and Pack and Larmer now push and shove. And Noonan comes over to whack Pack from behind. Well, Larmer standing in there trying to create some traffic, and Brent Sutter and Jimmy Pack have a heated exchange.
Barrasso really went down hard. I think he was trying to draw a penalty there. Now Skip Thayer goes down hard. The Penguins trainer right on his wallet.
And that is somebody big going down hard.
Larmer right in front of Barrasso, got his hands up. And Larmer kicked his right leg into Barrasso. Lifted his arms, but it was his leg really that got in the way there. And Barrasso did go down and try to draw the penalty. And Pack took a shot at Larmer. As though Barrasso caught a stick up high from Larmer, or something up around the mask. He reached up to grab his face after he got up.
1:02 left in the penalty. Now the Hawks trying to cause some traffic jams around that Penguin goal. And they not had a whole lot of success in doing that.
Mike, let's take a look at this picture of Dick Irvin. You talked about him earlier, and he wasn't on camera at that point.
I'm sorry.
And there he is now. That's the guy you were talking about, Dick Irvin. That was my fault. I pointed to the monitor, and it was our telestrator monitor, so my apologies, but that's the man. Mike was talking about the son of Dick Irvin Sr., who is the guy whose name we're always mentioning when we're talking about all the games that Scotty Bowman has coached, because he's the only guy ahead of him.
Brent Sutter to handle the face-off against Ronnie Francis. And the draw to the right of goaltender Barrasso. 3-1 Pittsburgh, 13:53 left, third period.
You know, Dick Irvin Jr. has written a couple of books, Mike, and I haven't had an opportunity to read them, but I understand they're excellent reading. And if you get a chance, you like to read about hockey, you might want to read his books. He actually got a chance to sit on the bench as a youth, just a kid, sit at the end of the Montreal Canadiens bench while his dad was coaching the Canadiens.
Chelios to the left point over to Steve Smith, and he'll shoot one blocked by Samuelson off his leg to the far corner. Brian Noonan to Chicago, getting the puck over to Brent Sutter. Back to Noonan, left wing, halfway up. To Steve Smith, now to Noonan, and his attempted pass broken up, but the Hawks steered him behind the net. Noonan again after it for the Blackhawks. Into the left wing corner he goes. Ronnie Francis knocked it off a stick, but he couldn't get it out. Steve Smith holds it in left point. Smith over to Brian Noonan. Work it down in behind the net to Brent Sutter. The Hawks not getting many shots right now. The Penguins box is doing a good job of keeping him away from that net. Noonan left side. Will he shoot it? Comes in, put it down deep to Brent Sutter. They crisscross, but Sutter doesn't shoot it anyway. They get it back to the center point. Steve Smith with a shot. Lemieux reached in and blocked it and clears it himself. 3:17 to go in the penalty to Gordy Roberts. Penguins 3, Chicago 1. And Michel Goulet, final rush up on the man advantage, going to the Penguins end, and Jimmy Pack broke up his attempted pass to the right wing boards. Roenick to the left side of the Penguins end, going over to Kuchera. Kuchera to Roenick right behind the net. Penalty is over. Gordy Roberts is on. Penguins back to equal strength, and now put Roberts right in the play in the Penguin zone. Roenick lost it to Larry Murphy, and he flips it up as he golfs it out of his own end back to Chicago territory. Icing will be called against the Penguins. 12:34 remaining here in regulation. The Penguins 3, Chicago 1 on the Penguins Hockey Network.
Steve Larmer held off the board so far in this hockey game, and in game one he has only 3 shots in the first 2 periods of this hockey game. He was doing his best to try to get into scoring position in front of the net, but Kjell Samuelsson bumping him out of there. Larmer is a guy who sneaks around and tries to get into scoring position, but it's kind of hard to do when you've got Big Kjell out there banging you around and keeping you from getting yourself into position. He really never got open at all there.
This face-off right point. Buskas shoots one that's deflected up into the seats. Game 3 of the series coming up on Saturday night. I don't know if I did earlier. I wanted to extend condolences to the family of a gentleman from Beachfield, Butchie Dew, who passed away here recently, and we will miss him. He is the originator of Bookham Dano. He's the guy that gave me that one, and we will miss him. Butchie Dew.
I'll say hello also to Joe Wycheck, who's in the hospital. He'll be feeling better soon.
Look at the press facilities here at the Civic Arena. They're jammed in upstairs. They're jammed in downstairs. Big throng of media covering this Stanley Cup final between the Penguins and Blackhawks. And Yager works his way into the Chicago end. Mario Lemieux with a couple of goals here tonight for the Penguins to give them the lead in the third. And now Trottier and Hudson banging one another back in the Chicago end. The loose puck though at the Penguin line. Dirk Graham. And what's the call going to be here? Offside against Chicago. And we had a battle going on between Brian Trottier and Mike Hudson.
Yager was upended by Dirk Graham. And Hawks doing a good job of holding up the Penguin forwards there so they could get out, but in the meantime Hudson got tied up with Trottier. Trottier was holding his stick. This is the stuff that Mike Keenan was talking about. The officials talked about watching players holding sticks, but it goes on so much now in the game. And that's a holding penalty. You hold the other guy's stick, it's a holding penalty, but it just happens so much. McEachern did hold Kuchera's stick for just a split second on Yager's goal in game 1, enough to allow Yager to skate freely through the slot. But Andy Van Hellemond didn't make the call on him, and you didn't see any penalty call there on Trottier for holding the stick of Hudson.
Ron Buskas and Brian Marshall. We're seeing now that Smith and Chelios are not playing quite as much as they were. And here's Lemieux into the Chicago end, fakes a shot, going for the net is Tocchet. Lemieux put it in front, it came off his stick. Lemieux back to the right point. He tried to feed it over to Kjell Samuelsson, and he can't do that. And it bounces all the way back into the Penguin zone. Kjell Samuelsson going back to take control of it. Shooter right on the seats. As Jocelyn Lemieux lined him up, trying to get a piece of him as he tried to clear the puck off the glass.
Every time you touch that puck and you move it, you're going to get hit by the Chicago Blackhawks. That's the definition of finishing your check.
Well, there's a guy that played for Mike Keenan at one time, and he's not afraid to admit it. He almost came to blows with Mike in a locker room.
I think he's earned a new respect for Mike Keenan in a sense, Mike, because after Keenan left, he saw the demise of the Philadelphia Flyers organization. He saw how things just crumbled around him. And I think that now, after in retrospect, he probably realizes that what Mike Keenan was doing was pretty good stuff, because he took the Flyers to the finals twice in 4 years. And they had a tremendous record during the regular season in each of those 4 years. And Tocchet was the beneficiary of Mike Keenan's expertise in a lot of ways.
Here's Igor Kravchuk now. Shooting the puck weakly. It bounced over the head of Barrasso into the corner. And steering the puck around near side. Ulf Samuelsson is hit on the play by the Hawks. And they keep the puck in. Finally, Ronnie Francis comes over and steers it back to center. Ronnie Francis has been tremendous at doing that for the Penguins. Has not added a point here tonight, but he has been strong in his own end in moving the puck out of the zone on little plays. And it takes a lot of bumps and plays to make those plays happen. Francis has done that all night long. Kuchera to touch it, and the Penguins guilty of an icy play again. 11:10 left here in the third. Still a lot of time left. Penguins 3, Chicago 1 on the Penguins Hockey Network.
Well, it takes a skill, really, to be able to do what Ulf Samuelsson has done in the last 11 games, take only 2 penalty minutes, and yet still play the physical brand of hockey that he's noted for. He says he gets a kind of an idea of how the referee is calling the game that night, and then he tries to play right up to that level. And he's good at reading the referees.
Veronica won the draw. Chelios right point. Shoot it, deflect it right in front, and Larry Murphy comes up with the Penguins. Outside of the line off Smith's skate, and it bounces up to center for Stefan Matteau. Has it for the Blackhawks. Winded right wing to Steve Larmer. Larmer looking to make a play. Ronick right in front, comes with a backhand attempt, but he couldn't turn his stick over to get him to do it. He was covered going to the net. Trottier collides with Steve Smith, and Smith went down. Murphy to the Chicago line. He'll shoot it in behind the goal. Now Smith and Trottier with those strong legs just planted him into the ice, and Smith was the man that went down on that play. Trottier can play it any way you want. You want to play tough, he can play as tough as anybody. He has in his career.
His legs look like the legs on a Clydesdale horse.
The truth is, all the checks the Hawks are throwing here in his prime. Here's Goulet, though, in the Penguins end, shooting it off a stick and over to the far corner. Trottier threw as hard a checks as anybody is throwing here tonight in his career with the Islanders.
That's a fact. You are absolutely
booming
right.
checks. And Francis shoots it into the near corner. So
they were like Joe Louis knockout punches. They weren't the big. He didn't have to come skating from 30 feet to hit you. He could pound you from 1 foot away with the explosive hitting, mostly with the power of his legs.
And the Pens keep the Hawks bottled up in their own end right now. Under 10 minutes left in regulation. Steve Smith will wind it up on to center. The Chicago Blackhawks have had 3 shots in this period. The Penguins have had just 1. But they're protecting a 3-1 lead against Chicago. Trying to win game 2 and take a 2-game to none advantage in this best of 7 series. And now they'll jam it on the boards right at the Chicago line, and they'll hold it there. The Hawks, I think, wanted to make a change, as did the Penguins, so they kind of just acquiesce and say, all right, let's make the changes we need to make now and get back and play some hockey. Brian Trottier. Yeah, those legs, I'm telling you, he just plants them in the ice. And as I said, I mean, Trottier is not the player that he was the youth and with the Islanders, but you can take all the hitters the Hawks have as far as heavy body checkers, and Trottier would pass them all.
I guess you could say, Mike, in a way, he has a low center of gravity, too, because Smith is a tall guy. He had to come over, and he was kind of upright when he hit him, and Trottier has that compact type of body where he just is able to accept a blow and actually deliver one in return.
Barrasso moves it around. Left point, though, in the Penguins' end. Marchman shoots it, and it bounces wide of the Penguin net. The Hawks keep working here, trying to get back into it. They need 2 to tie, and here's Marchman again carrying the puck up to the Penguin line. He will shoot it in. Barrasso with the skates. Jimmy Pack played it around. He took a heavy bump there from Jocelyn Lemieux. Lemieux has thrown out about 15 checks here tonight. Left point, Marchman drills one. Never got to the net. And Pack now scrambling to his knees. Played to the corner. Dirk Graham has it for Chicago. Lemieux is after him. And back around to the near corner. Ruskas comes in, and Stevens settles in on him and belts him. And the Penguins clear it onto center ice. Lemieux after it, can't come up with it. Jocelyn Lemieux wheels it in. I'll tell you, Jocelyn Lemieux will be a tired man come tomorrow or tonight on the way home to Chicago, because he has really punished his own body in making the checks that he has. Third up ahead of the Chicago zone, Igor Kravchuk finding Mike Peluso. 8.5 to go in the third period. Loney trying to shut down Peluso, and the puck hops up from the Penguin zone between the circles. Oh, Samuelsson has to get it out of danger, and he does. Here to the near side. Trottier poke it up. Here's a 2-on-1 with Yager. Trottier left wing against Kuchera. Moves in. Yager's got it in front. He goes looking, shooting, and the save made by Belfour. Matteau got back as Yager went to the forehand and held up, and couldn't quite get it by Eddie Belfour. Now a high stick on the puck, and that stops the play, and we'll get a face-off back at the Chicago zone. 8:08 left in the third period. The Penguins 3, Chicago 1 on the Penguins Hockey Network.
I'll give Belfour credit on the save he made on Yager, because he was going in one direction and had to scramble back to the other and got his stick glove out on Yager to make the save.
Yeah.
Now Bork has been upset at center ice.
Right from the face-off, Phil Bork went down in a hurry. And trainer Skip Thayer out to check on him. I didn't see what happened on the play. Borky seems to be shaken up pretty good. And he's still lying on his stomach right now on on the ice. And the Penguins led 1-0 at the end of one on a shorthanded goal by Bob Airy. Brian Marchment tied it for the Hawks at 1-1, and then Lemieux has added 2. We've had no scoring here in the third. And Bourque, under his own power, will get up. He's a little cuckoo right now.
Well, as Bourque gets up, we'll show you some great work by Kevin Stevens to come back and help out on his own end defensively. Stevens here. His man is Rod Buskus, who's out at the right point. And as the puck goes down into the right wing corner, Stevens notices that Buskus is pinching in. Stop it there. And now Buskus is all the way in deep on the play. Shel Samuelson, the defenseman, coming back to make the play for the Penguins, and Stevens coming back to help out because Buskus is trying to put some pressure on Samuelson. And Stevens makes a big play to hit him, take the puck away, and clear it up ice.
The Penguins have done on certain occasions tonight, and again, Stevens made a play on Steve Smith. They've made checks of their own, although the Hawks have had the better of the numbers and the puck out of play to the Penguin bench. The Penguins in critical times and crucial times have made good, solid checks to one set up a goal, the other puck play to get the puck out, and they've been pretty good. Bourque, again, being attended to by Skip Thayer, the Pens trainer. His son, Skip Stung, lives in Chicago. Now they've got a little wager going. He, of course, grew up. Skip was a longtime trainer of the Blackhawks, and his son is a Blackhawk fan. And of course, Skip with the Penguins now, so they got a little personal thing going as far as this series. Penguins win this face-off. Lemieux wristed off the boards and on the center. This is the first time I can remember Lemieux handling as many face-offs as he has here in a game in a while.
He's really skating well tonight. I mean, he looks very fluid tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Looks a lot stronger than he did in game one, I think.
And he looks for the puck, but he can't come up with it. He's playing defense so well for the Penguins here. Mario Lemieux is. And Roberts defensively on to Lemieux at center, slows the pace down. That one rolled off his stick. I don't see that happen too often. It usually sticks right on there. And the Hawks gun back into the Penguins end. They lose it. Stevens and Lemieux come up with Taka trying to play. Taka may have been hurt on that play. He's kind of favoring his right arm again. Taka comes down. He'll wrist it around and behind the boards all the way to the near side. He watched him kind of favor his arm as he came up. He might have caught the boards and been hit. And he has the puck now in his own zone. Keep an eye on him. Stevens coming over. Passed it through to center, intercepted by the Blackhawks, and Igor Kravchuk now just inside his own blue line with 6:48 left in the third. The Penguins lead Chicago 3-1. Trying to win this game and take a 2-0 lead in this best-of-7 series. Games 3 and 4 will be in Chicago coming up on Saturday and Monday. And the Hawks again slipping inside the Penguin line. Murphy throws it right back out. The Penguins have been perfect so far in shutting down the Hawks here in the third, but there's a lot of time left on the board. Kravchuk left wing over to Brett Sutter. He's into Penguin territory to the left side to Noonan. Shoot it in deep to the left wing corner. Goulet goes after it. Makes the centering pass. Where is it? I don't know if Tommy's got that or not. He does in his right hand. Tom Barrasso has that puck in his right paw.
And this broadcast is intended for the private use of our viewing audience. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, or accounts of this game without express written consent of Pittsburgh Hockey Associates is strictly prohibited. Penguins again setting up a wall in the neutral zone and just frustrating the Hawks. They're unable to get any speed of the blue line. They're unable to really get the momentum into the Penguin zone where they can set up their forechecking, and that's a credit to the Penguins' ability to play defense themselves. Well, it was talked about the Hawks defense, but the Penguins have held the Hawks to 1 goal so far with 6:15 to go in regulation time.
Penguin general manager Craig Patrick stares on here at the arena. Built a pretty good hockey club in a very short period of time. He assumed the coaching role taking over in December of '90. They went on to get bumped out of the playoff picture the last day of the season. And the next year under Bob Johnson, you just have that funny feeling looking on from somewhere here in this ice surface. Won the cup last year, and they're in the finals again this season.
Yesterday, the Lester Patrick Award was handed out at a luncheon here at the Civic Arena. They give the award to 3 different people. Al Arbor, Art Berglund were 2 of the recipients. The other one was Lou Lamoriello, the general manager of the New Jersey Devils.
Art Berglund has had so much to do with U.S. hockey. And Al Arbor Of course, the coach of the Islanders and winner of 4 Stanley Cups there. Scotty Bowman hired Al Arbour as the coach of the Blues, and he also hired Mike Keenan as coach of Rochester in the American Hockey League.
Scotty Bowman is literally the guru of coaches in the National Hockey League.
And here's the play back into the Penguin zone, and it's stopped again. Bork is back on here. He and Peluso have a little meeting. Jammed it up. Where's the faceoff going to be? Outside of the Penguin blue line. Shell Samuelson coming over from Philadelphia, along with Rick Tocchet and Kenny Reggett. Part of the deal that sent the wrecking ball, Mark Recchi, on. You know who I saw tonight before the game walking around the arena? Doesn't even know that noise here. Randy Cunneyworth.
That's nice.
Yep. I'm going to take in tonight's game. I didn't get a chance to talk to him. I could see him outside the arena.
There's something about playing here in Pittsburgh and having played for this club. And I think we all understand, who we live in Pittsburgh, why people like to come back to this city. And the hockey players are no different. They gravitate to this place after they leave.
Jimmy Pack now whacks it ahead, and the Penguins got to try and keep this intensity up here for the final 5:35. Trying to win game number 2. Loney of the Penguins left it for Jaromir Jagr in the Chicago zone. And Jagr is belted by Ron Busquets and knocked down, but the Hawks have command of it. And Brian Marchment steps up. Here's Mateau flattened. Did Jagr get a piece of it?
Yeah, he did. He put the elbow into him. He felt Mateau coming, and he delivered an elbow and knocked him down. Not to his head, but up high in the chest.
And Jagr carries the puck up now, trying to avoid Jocelyn Lemieux. He'll get the biscuit over the back in the left wing of the Chicago end. He'll cut in deep. Jimmy goes to the near corner, trying to figure out what he's doing there, and it goes behind the net. Loney and Jagr dig in, and Pack leaves the puck and then rambles all the way back to the left point area. Jimmy got in, and he couldn't stop himself, and he knew he was in the wrong place. With a 3-1 lead, here's Stanton, cutting for the net is Lemieux, and he can't get it through to him. Mario called for the puck, and he was open going down the lane. Well, the Penguins are changing up on the Hawks here in good fashion and getting Lemieux on at the right time against the defenseman. And Bowman again is the guy that works the forwards. And Pierre Maguire, the defenseman. Roenick on the play, going to the Penguins end, trying to pass it across. Samuelson taking down Larmer. And the puck outside the line and brought back in by Chicago, and we have an offside call. 4.5 to go. Third period. The Penguins 3, Chicago 2 on the Penguins Hockey Network. With Paul Steigerwald, Mike Lang here at the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh. The Penguins 4 minutes and 23 seconds away from gaining a victory in this second game, but they have a 2-goal advantage, trying to add to it. Here comes Lemieux to the Chicago end. A slip shot right on Belfort, and he's able to smother that one and hold on. And a look at Bob Pulford, the former general manager of the Blackhawks, who now has given Mike Keenan that role. And the Blackhawks staff up above.
Bob Pulford, of course, was the coach in the Los Angeles Kings. Sitting in front of him, Vladimir Tretiak, one of the great goaltenders of all time, who played for the Russians.
To his right in the suit.
Yeah, that's him in the suit with the Russian haircut. I don't know what else to call it, but Tretiak is a goaltending consultant for the Hawks. He came in at the beginning of the year and did a little work with them.
Lemieux, Tocchet, Stevens. I'm watching Tocchet. It didn't have any effects of running into that boards. He may have not have been hurt at all. I mean, he just have kind of stumbled, but I just wanted to keep an eye on him, and he's right back on here. And here's Shell Samuelson.
I think I called him Vladimir. It's Vladislav Tretiak. I'll make that correction.
Chelios trying to get it to Steve Smith and lifted back to the Hawks line. Picked up now by Stu Grimson. He tries to beat Shell Samuelson, and he can't do that, but it goes into the Penguin zone anyway. Jimmy Pack outworking Mateau to get to the puck, and here's Tocchet up in and knocked down. The Hawks have it. Steve Smith trying to pass it over. Lemieux broke it up. The Penguin center iceman. Well, Mario made the defensive play there, not allowing the Hawks to get an opportunity, and he forced it back to center. 3 minutes and 33 seconds now left in regulation, and the Penguins leading Chicago 3-1. And here's Ronnie Francis on to center. Jeremy Roenick picked his pocket, took it away. Around the second man now to the left side of the Penguins end. Francis after him, but the Hawks are offside. They've been frustrated here in this game. Penguins have held them to only 18 shots in this contest and 3 in this period. And when was that when I said that? With about 13 minutes to go? They haven't had a shot for almost 10, maybe 12 minutes.
Don't forget, the Hawks had 39 shots to face of the Penguins in that first game, and the game was just simply too offensive, too wide open. I'm sure the goaltenders would agree with that. They've held the shots down in this hockey game.
Brett Sutter has the assignment against Francis now. And Brett will win the draw. Boy, when he wins them sometimes, he wins them cleanly. And that's not an easy job against Francis, who really could do some things. Brett Sutter steps into Wolf Samuelson. But the puck free in the Penguin zone, and Ronnie Francis hurries it out as Peluso got a piece of him. And around the far boards, Brent Sutter has it, shoots it towards the net. That was deflected. Look out, the Hawks coming on right now. Bob Airy trying to clear, can't do it. Marchment to the near side. Lead it up, picked up by the Penguins, and here's Phil Bourque and Bob Airy, 2-on-1. Bourque and Airy with good speed. Airy takes the pass, goes to Bourque, shoots it. Belfour the save from 40 feet on Phil Bourque. And Bob Airy is crunched on a check there by Brian Marchment. The Hawks at times almost seem more concerned for laying that check into people than they are going for the puck.
Well, there's no doubt about it. Their thing is forget the puck. That was Rod Buskus who hit Bob Airy. Their game is to play the man and then worry about the puck after that. And they figure if you hit you enough, you're going to force the turnover, and then they'll have their chances to make plays with the puck. The Penguins are more concerned with moving that puck and making great passes and getting to open space to make plays available for their teammates. And Bob Airy took a nice hit from Rod Buskus.
No,
Marchment. It was Marchment.
Yeah.
You're right the first time. Sorry about that. Buskus was with Airy, but Marchment, the guy who delivered the check.
Trottier, right point to Larry Murphy. Bouncing up towards the goal, and Belfour through traffic made that save on a screen shot. And the Hawks hop back to center as we approach 2.5 minutes left here in regulation. Trottier just winds it out of his own end. Trottier's had 2 strong games for the Penguins in game 1, now in game 2 here. And the ageless veteran of the Penguins trying to win his 6th Stanley Cup championship ring. And Troy Loney has it for the Penguins in his own end. Wrists it up the boards and on to center. Igor Kravchuk. They have not played Smith and Chelios half as much as they did in the first 2 periods of this game. In the third, it seems to me. And on to center, Loney got hit in the face, but he keeps right on going after it. It goes back to the Penguin line. They dig for it. The puck actually hit him in the face, I think. And Yager is hit along the boards, and they stop the play, and we'll get a whistle. Loney's saying that he got hit with a stick, I think.
You're talking about Trottier calling him the ageless veteran. I called him an old warhorse the other night after the game, and he didn't like that. It's like calling him a bum as far as he's concerned. He just does not want to hear the word old ever mentioned around him. He considers himself just a kid playing a game of hockey.
I can remember saying on the bench and in the locker room, we got him, boys. We got him right where we want him. Because when Roenick wasn't playing and Larmer wasn't playing and Goulet wasn't playing, their top guys, and they were going with Peluso and with Stu Grimson and Hudson and guys like that, we thought we had kind of gotten their kitchen a little bit, but we knew we weren't going to win this series by trying to win games like we did game number 1. And that's when we realized we need to buckle down and play better defensively.
And trickled back in behind the Penguin net. Here's Shel Samuelson passing ahead off Lemieux's blade. A carry for the Chicago line. 1:42 left. And will Belfour come off? He did the other night in game 1. Mike Keenan claiming that a player had responsibility to tell Belfour to come off the ice. And Belfour did not come off at all with only 13 seconds left in an effort to get back and try and tie the game. Well, the crowd now very much a part of this game as they stand here for the Penguins, who are trying to hold on. Games 3 and 4 at Chicago. Maybe they realize this possibly could be the last game played here this year. I mean, that is a possibility. And Lemieux pulls it back to Shel Samuelson and wind it down the boards. If in fact the Penguins win this game, they would be within reach of winning the cup on the road. And Chicago's Rod Buskus looking to get it ahead. Stolen by Kevin Stevens. And he puts it back inside the Chicago line, but the offside play here whistles the play dead. The Hawks bench stares on. The Chicago Blackhawks with one of the stronger records this year at home in the National Hockey League. It will not be an easy chore for the Pens. And this face-off will be between Lemieux and Mike Hudson. Tocchet and Stu Grimson now push and shove. drop the biscuit, and reaching in to get it will be the Hawks, and Busquets goes over to Brian Marchman. Made a move around Tocchet, throw it into the Penguin zone. Barrasso comes up with it, shooted up the boards and out of the zone himself, and the Hawks have to go back with 1:10 left here in regulation. Brian Noonan over to Brian Marchman. Marchman settles in, goes to Busquets, and here he comes with 1 minute left here in regulation. He'll shoot it in, and Kuchera and Kravchuk come on, not Smith or Chelios. And Lemieux brings it to center, and he will shoot it in. Well, perhaps Keenan may be saving Chelios and Smith here for the next 2 games. Maybe giving them a rest. 44 seconds to go. Penguins have it, and Ulf Samuelsson has the puck. Force it back into the Chicago zone. And back to get it to be Kuchera. 35 seconds left. I think the Hawks have all but throwing this one away, so that's it. Down the ice it goes, and off a stick to the Penguins in. It'll be an icing call. Ulf Samuelsson to touch it. And they'll bring it back into Chicago territory with 25 seconds left in regulation. And what the Hawks will have to do now, the Chicago Blackhawks, is try and regroup and shut down the Penguins in Chicago. Mario Lemieux, if this score stands, is going to get his 5th game-winning goal. That puts him in some select company. Mike Bossy, Jari Kurri, and Bobby Smith of the North Stars. Kurri of the Oilers and Bossy of the Islanders all scored 5 game-winning goals in a playoff year. And Lemieux still has some possibilities remaining, if in fact the score holds. Francis drills it into the near boards of the Chicago end. Marchman returns it to Rod Busquets. And Chicago's going to go back home down 2-0 in this best-of-7 series. Marchman wristed it up into the Penguins end. The Penguins need to win 2 to win the Stanley Cup again. 5 seconds left. On the center. Ray Gilbert has the puck. He turns and shoots it back into the Penguins end, and it's all over. That's it. Here tonight, the Pittsburgh Penguins not only do it with the offense, they survive the onslaught of the body attack by the Hawks, but they played brilliantly defensively in the 3rd period, holding Chicago to only 4 shots. And the Penguins have won Game 2, defeating Chicago. The final, Pittsburgh 3 and Chicago 1. And we'll be back on the Penguins Hockey Network.
A 2-0 lead in the finals was something that the Penguins did not enjoy just the season before against the North Stars. So yes, they were feeling good about themselves, but would that feeling continue as the series shifted to Chicago for game number 3? Well, we'll revisit that game coming up on Wednesday, June 3rd at 7 p.m. right here on AT&T Sportsnet.